Alrighty, folks, welcome on in to the Central Committee stream with your host Mike from PA. We are live once again. How is everybody doing today? How is everybody doing? VOD publishing broke yesterday. Yeah, I see that. My Twitch dads are fighting. Are we? I didn't really see what happened. Assad had a crash out. He took a sword to your community. Really? I don't think that. But I didn't see what happened. I didn't really speak in Assad chat because it's too fast, but I like he's saying that anyone who disagreed with this take we're parasocial Mike fans. Hassan kind of crashed the fuck out last night over Cat, your take over her. He says everyone who opposes Cat is from your community. Well, that's not true, but you were there for the crash out. I was only there for part of it. I didn't really see what happened at the beginning. I don't really see what happened. Assad said he had a tactical disagreement with you, but he was a bit defensive. Everyone parasocially thinks he hates you. No, he doesn't. Chatters can't behave themselves. Just get a clip. I mean, here's the general feeling I would say. Here's the general thing I would say. I've been thinking a lot about this because this community, I try to balance between being a pragmatic electoral politics guy with holding to a few important issues for me. And Kat is a candidate who rubs me the wrong way for a lot of reasons, right? And I think that one flaw that I can have in my personality is I maybe get excessively vituperative against politicians, which is not the same thing as regular people. And other people see me do that and they act that way toward other people, or they try to copy that. And that's not something you should do. You know, the other thing is Hassan and I are allowed to disagree, and I'm not and also I'm allowed to change my mind, and so are you. You know, it's okay. The other thing is Hassan and I are friends, and we are allies, and we don't strongly disagree much. And when we do, that's not a time for me to go on attack against Hassan or vice versa. And in fact, it's one of the times that I slow down and say, hey, am I being absurd? Am I going too hard? And that's the reality. Like, and I'm sure when he disagrees with me, it slows him down as well. And there's many times where I've strongly disagreed with him, and he's come around on my position. You know, for example, on people like Gretchen Whitmer. I was very anti-Gretchen Whitmer, and he listened to that, and he came around. Like, you know, things happen. Sometimes one of us has a position on a politician or on an issue, and then we talk about it, we disagree. The one thing that I don't think is good is when people try to make that a personal issue. And I think I have to take blame for this. I went too fucking hard. I went too fucking hard on Kat. I did. No, I absolutely did. I went and looked at what I was saying, and this is what my position was. And the reason why is because her position on Taiwan and her foreign policy in general is fucking terrible. And there's no defending it. There's really no defending it. Like, it's just that simple. That being said, I have been saying for the longest time that I am a single issue voter on Palestine. I've been saying that for a long time. And whether I trust her, which I don't, and I don't like her for a variety of reasons, right? And most of them have to do with the fact that she insults my intelligence. And what I mean by that is she moved into a district for Machiavellian reasons, and I didn't like it. I don't like the idea of somebody using social media clout to move into a district. She moved into the 7th district and ran in the 9th. She doesn't even live in the district that she ran in. And she decided to run against a pro-Palestinian rep who ultimately decided to retire rather than run against a young woman who was Palestinian. And that was a Machiavellian move for her own gain. It was an opportunistic move. That rubbed me the wrong way, period. And anybody tried to cope for that just makes me angry. I don't like when people insult my intelligence, you know, and that's why I don't particularly like her as a candidate. Now, the question of like, the problem that we have is when we have these conversations, politics is about working with people you don't like. I want you guys to understand this. It's something that I used to talk about a lot more, which is you don't have to be my friend to be my comrade. I don't have to personally like you. I don't have to think that you are the bee's knees. This is not a friend group. This is a political movement. And I think this is a conversation that a lot of us are losing sight of. And I also noticed something, and I want to say this about maturity. And I think I failed on this, and the chat definitely failed on this. And I'm very frustrated with a lot of you guys, because one of the things that happens online, and I heard someone explain this as with the analogy of barrier aggression. Do you guys know what barrier aggression is? It's when a dog, for example, gets very angry when they're inside a fence. And whenever somebody comes near their fence, they're growling and snarling and barking and getting really aggressive. But when the gate opens, the dog then, it has access to whoever he was barking at or whatever. They chill the fuck out. And they go like, okay. And maybe they still guard their backyard, but the energy level and the rage level goes down quite a bit because they're actually interacting with another, creature socially. And so their mind gets out of this fucking frustration of being inside the gate. Do you get what I mean? And I feel like the internet creates the human version of barrier aggression. I feel like a lot of us through the screen, and this includes me, get way too fucking aggressive. Way too fucking aggressive because we're not in the same room with each other. We're on a phone. We're not being socially corrected through all the subtle ways. Like when you're talking to someone and you say something and they kind of make a little bit of a half squint or they have a micro expression and you realize okay, maybe the way I phrased that was a little bit too intense. And you kind of rephrase it and you kind of you mitigate it and you kind of you orient yourself towards another human being that's in the room with you. I feel like with the internet, and this is definitely true of me as well, we're not doing that. And I feel like I have to say in this particular case, it's a rare one, but I think I went too far. I legitimately, I saw the way that everybody was interacting with each other and I realized that I went too hard. And I was like, you know what? I went way too fucking hard. And I think it has to do with a variety of reasons. It's not even necessarily Kat's fault. The problem with Kat is her position is bad and all the people that started defending her are our enemies. And so I started treating her like an enemy because of the type of people that were allying with her bad takes. Does that make sense? And the other thing is, I also was really pissed off because I had just felt like I was endorsing her. And then she came out with these Taiwan takes, which I do consider extremely dangerous. And I hope that they never, if I was assuming, I proceeded with the intention of what if her policies actually came to pass? What would that mean? And I wanted, and ultimately, and I think this is the conversation that all of us need to have, which is what is the likelihood that policy, we have to calibrate ourselves toward reality. And I feel like and I always do that. But in Kat's case, I did not. And the perfect example is Graham Plattner and AOC. And Bernie, how am I able to criticize some of their positions as bad, but then nonetheless understand that it's part of a greater whole? And yet with Kat, I'm holding her to the most extreme reaction possible. That's just what I did. And it's not that I'm wrong about the issues. I'm right about the issues. That's what made it dangerous. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. And so maybe you guys will understand. I don't want to watch this quite yet. I want to wait until a little bit later when everybody's awake. But I don't want to make this cat shit last longer. I think the main thing that's fucked up is ultimately the number one issue that we have in our politics today is countering Israel. And Kat is on our side on countering Israel. Period. That is the number one issue. And she's good on a lot of other stuff we could work with. That's the reality. And I went way too fucking hard against her because, and the answer is, I don't trust her. That's that, but I don't trust any of these politicians. I also don't agree with Hassan that she's malleable on this. I don't think she's malleable on this. That being said, people are changing their positions on stuff right now. We are in a moment of flex, and defeating AIPAC has to be our number one goal. It really does. And I think a lot of people, you know, the argument that really hits for me is AIPAC is spending a lot of money against Kat and a little bit against Biss. They don't like Biss, but Biss is a liberal Zionist. He's not going to have the positions we need against Israel. He's just not. He may be slightly better than her on the way he talks about Taiwan, but he's going to be weak on Israel. He's not going to be a fucking mega Zionist, but he's going to be weak on Israel. And so what is the number one issue that we're facing in the world today? It is containing Israel. Period. And so I've been reevaluating and thinking a lot about this. And like, listen, I really like Bushra. But the fact is, she's not going to win. You know, I started treating Kat like she was Kamala Harris, and that's not fair to her. And it's not fair to you, and it's not fair to me. And I realized that I have a lot of frustration and rage over the genocide, over the way politics has gone, and I was taking it out on her, bro. And that's just the facts. Like you can disagree with me, but when I saw her positions on Taiwan, it pissed me the fuck off, and I let my anger go. That's just a reality, you know? But Kat's positions are bad. So that is why this happened, because her positions are not defensible. They're not defensible on Taiwan. They aren't. They make no sense. And so that's where we're at. We're at the situation where it's like, we're making so much progress on China, especially in online spaces, and our orientation toward China and avoiding that Cold War is so important. And I feel like Kat is saying shit that takes us back 5 years on that issue, which is a very important issue to me. But I'm being egotistical by prioritizing that over other very important shit. You know what I mean? So that's the reflection that I have, where I'm like, her position on China is fucking terrible and it's dangerous. And this is not just my take, you know, and I'll take you through a lot of other people who agree with me on this. This is not a position that I have because I'm being ridiculous. I'm taking this position because her position is indefensible and incoherent. And that's what makes it feel inauthentic, right? Where I'm like, why does Kat believe these crazy neocon positions on Taiwan? That doesn't line up with someone who's pro-Palestine, right? You know what I mean? Like these line up, like her Palestine position is incoherent in the context of all her other positions. And that is what's causing that feeling. I feel like this speech is too decentralized and leads to anarchist outcomes. You should have a more unified messaging with your colleagues, and public disagreement should not be fought out in the open. It leads to chatters doing unwanted proxy wars. That's absolutely what happened. Like basically what happened is, and I want to explain it. I want to be honest and transparent with everybody about the considerations that were being made. Oh, can we make sure that VODs are back on? Fuck. Did they get turned off? Damn. I didn't do that. It looks like they got broken a couple days ago. Fuck. Probably for the best. I will make sure that they're turned back on. Probably because I was like having partner, that word? Stream. There it is. Always publish VODs. Okay. And like this week, like I'm really bummed. Now, great, 2 hours of Hassan talking about Kat and 2 hours of Mike talking about her. Awesome. Honestly, guys, it's important that we have these conversations, right? It's important that we're like, when we have a fight with people that we agree with, that's a moment for us to take a second, take a breath, and be like, what the fuck are we doing here? What are our goals? Reevaluating ourselves, you know? And we want to avoid Fettermans. Obviously, we want to avoid Fettermans. Does it track that Kat Abu-Ghazaleh is a risk to become a Fetterman? If I'm being completely honest with you, chat, I feel like Kat is going to go with the flow of what the progressive movement is doing, because that's where she comes from. Like, if I'm being completely honest with you, I don't think any of the candidates are really that risky to be a Fetterman. If I'm really taking a deep breath, you know, like she changed on a bunch of positions since I started criticizing her. Like she has, like when she first started running, she had the terrible Medicare for All plan. Now she's saying Medicare for All doesn't go far enough. Now, you know, before on her website, she had her, you know, her private insurance opt-out. She took it off her website. Before, she didn't call herself a Democratic Socialist. Now, apparently, she's a longtime Democratic Socialist card-carrying member. Those are all responses to my criticism and criticism other people were making. Like, that's the reality. She's been going in our direction. And I haven't been giving her any grace because I only care about not fighting a war with China. Like, that's really the reality, guys. I feel like, in general, I hate when I make a mistake. I hate when I make a mistake, and I hate when I cause us to get overly emotional. I don't like it. And I'll be honest with you. I think Kat is somebody who I don't vibe with. But it doesn't mean that we should help Daniel Biss win. You know what I mean? Like, that's the reality. I could just not like her. But there's a fucking genocide going on. She's Palestinian. Like, come on. AIPAC is causing us to have a war in Iran. Like, what are we doing? I need to, like, let's take a deep fucking breath here and be realistic for a second. And I really feel like her position on Taiwan is indefensibly bad. And if you watch Hassan talk about her, he says the same thing as me. He agrees with me. Her position is bad. He's not trying to and that's the thing that persuaded me the most. Is he's not trying to say her positions are good on Taiwan. He's saying they're bad. You know, like he's not trying, and that's what I was frustrated with. You know, that's what I was frustrated with. Is people were defending her position as a good position, and that's what was pissing me off. And I allowed myself to get negatively polarized against the people defending her bad position, and I started to hate her because of those people more. And she has changed her Taiwan position, by the way. I'm just not giving her any credit because I'm being a hard ass. This is a fact. She said that if Taiwan voted to reunite with China, she would be in favor of that. Guys, that's not a neocon position. She changed her position. Like, it is what it is. Like that's not a neocon position. And obviously, her position of supporting the national endowments for democracies means that we're going to be spending billions of dollars in Taiwan to try to prevent that from happening. But it's just like, we love you, Mike. Stop apologizing and over-explaining. We get you. No. This isn't over-explaining. I don't feel like I've repeated myself. This is just a natural conversation. I like to, whenever I do something that I don't like, happened last year. Remember last March, I had to apologize for the old clip from, you know what I mean? March is a bad month for me. Apparently it's when I'm say dumb shit. I want to make sure that we are consistently making sense with what we're doing politically. I'll give you an example. When Graham Plattner's tattoo came out, I went fucking nuclear on Graham Plattner. I said, this dumb motherfucker has a Nazi tattoo. What a moron. Fuck this asshole. Fuck this dipshit. He's a total idiot. Fuck him. I want nothing to do with him. I did. And you know what? I changed my mind. I think because he kept being good on the issues. He kept changing. He kept coming out and having the right positions. And then I was like, it's Graham Plattner or Janet Mills. Obviously, Graham Plattner he's right on every issue. He covered the tattoo. He apologized for being a dumb fuck. Am I really gonna squander this? Like, I've already given somebody like Graham Plattner grace, right? And she's been changing her positions for the better. That's just true. She has been. And I have not been giving her any grace. It's because I really dislike the fact she ran in that district. And it pissed me off. She primaried one of the most important Jewish pro-Palestinian members in Congress, who is a huge asset to our movement. And it pissed me off. And I have been holding on to the rage of that and how it's so obviously Machiavellian of her to do what she did. And the idea of like, oh, I just like, you know, and her answer for it is terrible. And it made me mad every time I heard it. That's the reality. I don't know if it's new people or emotions, but I think a lot of chatters forget that one of the reasons you and Hassan are good is because you openly and happily admit mistakes. Well, I think this is a combination of factors. I think we're not wrong for roasting the shit out of her for her terrible takes. We're not wrong. We're right. That's what makes this tough, because Hassan agrees with us. Her position on Taiwan is insane. It's terrible. But that's not the only question. That's not the only question. You know, I think meeting with Oliver also made me realize that Kat's, you know, it also made me feel like we could be even harsher on Kat, because we had, like, look at Oliver Larkin. He just has good positions. He just has good positions, and he makes me happy. And it makes me excited to be able to support someone who's awesome like Oliver. And so everybody compared to Oliver sucks. AOC compared to Oliver sucks. But am I going to trash AOC? Am I going to go insane on AOC? The answer is no, I'm not. And like, I don't feel like my criticisms of Kat are unfair. I think every single one of them is fair. But that doesn't mean that we should throw this election to Daniel Biss. And like, people that I like and have been my friends for years are not evil pieces of shit because because I reacted differently to this take. I want you guys to see what my reaction to Kat's debate performance was, because this was my position on Kat before I found out about her Taiwan shit. This is how I felt about her. So Kat is cool as hell. We love Kat now. I 100%, 1,000 quadrillion % endorse Kat now. After that debate performance, I completely endorse Kat. She's cleared up all my concerns about her, saying she won't support the Iron Dome. Her positions on every issue are based. She calls herself a democratic socialist. I'm 100% behind her. I will text her that. And, you know, she may hate my guts because I asked her if she was a democratic socialist a million times or whatever. I didn't tell you guys to do that, but I'm kind of curious. Use surveillance against itself. So what I'm trying to say here is my feelings are based on issues. And when I saw how she did in the debate, when I saw her being strongly against the Iron Dome, I saw how well she performed there. I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I may not like her for a variety of reasons, but having somebody like her in Congress would be an asset. And that's the way I think. That's how I've always thought. And then the drop site news drop hit, and it pissed me the fuck off. And it's one of those things where every one of us are human in our own way. And as logical as we try to be, as measured as we try to be, sometimes you let your emotions get the better of you. Where I felt embarrassed that I had just said, you know what, fuck it, Kat is the better choice. And then immediately she's like, let's invade Taiwan. You know what I mean? And that is an insane position that I do not think is okay. And I went nuclear on it. And I think I encouraged us, and we stopped thinking the way that I want you to think. The goal of this stream has always to make all of us the best political operators we can be. And that is not what I did. That's not what I did. I should have. And Hassan's reaction to him finding out about this take was the correct take. My take was the incorrect take. His take was the correct take. And I'll tell you why. The reason why his take is correct is because we know her. We can yell at her. We have influence over her. I was treating her like she's somebody we have no influence over. I was treating her like a stranger. I am wrong about that's not true. She's been changing her positions based on our criticism. Like, what am I thinking? You quite literally spent almost every day telling us not to vote for her. It's not about roasting her for the Taiwan take. No. Oh, it's absolutely that as well. The Taiwan take pissed me the fuck off so much that I said, fuck her. And that's baby shit. It's immature. It's point blank. It was immature. That's the reality. I was being immature. I'm a 40-year-old man. I cannot be acting all fucking emotional like that. Like, come on. Just because I get pissed off doesn't mean I need to start lashing out and then throw the election to what, a fucking Zionist? What the fuck am I doing? What the fuck am I thinking? Why would you hate someone for one bad check? Yeah, it's immature. Yeah, no shit. By the way, it's a really bad take and she needs to change that position. And I'm not saying that that position is okay. I'm not saying that she's a 26-year-old that's malleable. I'm saying that that's not the way to think about politics. We have to lock the fuck in. The good faith chatters yesterday were frustrated with Hassan because he was saying she's a naive 26-year-old running for Congress and that most people that are 26 wanted to nuke China. That pissed off some chatters because Kat is not a random chatter. She studied this. She's politically active. She's not dumb. She's not a random woman on the internet, but chat was being super annoying, which didn't help Hassan. I don't agree with Hassan that she's a small bean 26-year-old and doesn't know any better. I think that she does. I think she has this position because it is the debate pervert position. And it is the like, and that's the position that she debate perverted herself into, where she's like, I'm the most purist pro self-determination candidate or whatever the fuck brain dead shit. She like, I think she thought about this and has a terrible take that I disagree with her completely on. I don't think she's a small bean and she's uneducated. I think she's very educated. I think she's an intelligent woman. I think she's very Machiavellian. I think she smoked me. I'm getting smoked right now by her. You understand that, right? That's fucking impressive, dude. She's making me doubt myself. Do you know how hard that is? Like, that's fucking impressive. I don't get knocked off my game by many politicians before. She knocked me off my game. She's kicking my ass. That's pretty impressive. I'm not gonna lie. It's because your anger got the best of you. Yes, exactly. But she relational aggression the fuck out of me. That's fucking impressive. She cooked my ass. For later, Mike. Iran released footage showing the IRGC strike on a vessel in the Persian Gulf. Okay, well, all I'm trying to say is, like, we have to keep our eye on the ball here. I am somebody who always recognizes that there are flaws with people. AOC said something dumb as fuck the other day. I did not go nuclear on her. Did she change her position on Taiwan? No. No, that's my entire point. AOC said something dumb as fuck the other day, and I didn't talk about it. She was doing a campaign event with this more centrist congressman in New York. I think his name is Ryan, right? The other, what's that centrist guy? She said something dumb as fuck, and I didn't talk about it. I didn't go nuclear on her because I recognized that she's good on the issues. She said she had a bad take. She had a bad phrasing, but I understand what she was trying to say. And so I didn't go nuclear on her, but plenty of other people did. And you know what? They were right to do so. But why didn't I do that? I let it slide because I think she's an asset to us. And I think she's good on all the other issues. And I think she's the 2028 front runner for the left. So I let it slide. So if I'm willing to do that for AOC, why am I going completely nuclear on Cat 24/7? It's unhinged. I mean, it really is. Like, it's okay. It's okay for me to be like, you know what? You know what made me change my mind the most? Seeing chatters be unhinged. That I like. That's what changed my mind. You guys changed my mind because you were going too fucking hard against Hassan and you were being unhinged. And I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? That's not how I want you to be. It was a what have I created moment. I keyed you guys up too much. I made you into zealots. I made you into cranks. And I was like, what am I doing here? This is not how I want my people to be. I want my people to be intelligent political operators. And we're not being intelligent political operators. We are fixating on a position and then using it to sow discord within our own ranks. We were being sectarian and non-helpful. And I was like, what are we doing? We're being insufferable. You change your mind because cringy fans embarrassed you. Well, yeah, but it's not about being cringy or embarrassed. It's about what are we doing? Like, what is our plans? What are our goals? I was becoming bad empanada. I'm being bad empanada toward Cat. That's the reality. I went full bad empanada. Never go full bad empanada. And here's the thing. She's wrong with her China take. Her China take is a liability. Her China take is garbage. Her China take doesn't get anybody to support her that wouldn't have already supported her. And it alienates a lot of other people that are anti-imperialism. And her take is dangerous. And here's the thing. Hassan agrees with us. So the largest creator on the left in the world agrees with us. And we're making him our enemy? What are we doing? We're being bad empanada. This is stupid. Hassan and I have been friends for 7 fucking years. We've had our disagreements before, and my fans are gonna be fucking acting weird towards him. What are we doing here? We are making all of us less approachable, less reliable. We're not doing something intelligent. It's like, come on, man. What are we doing? And the thing that bothers me is I'm not doing this for any reason other than I legitimately think we have to get our shit together and be better. I've been saying this for a long time. People think we're closer to winning than we are. And that means we just need to yell at AOC harder and then we're going to get our way. And it's like, no, we're not. We have to build in 20, 30, 40 more reps like AOC. And here we have Kat. She'll probably be one of the 10 most progressive reps in the entire country. And I let myself go bad empanada on her ass. What am I doing? And she's friends with Hassan. What am I doing? Here I am apologizing for, Graham Plattner's terrible fucking tattoo. And I'm going to go nuclear on this. And I'm sure if I wanted to, I could spin shit to be good. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be honest with you. And it's just like, I am not that guy. I am not that guy. I've always been the guy who is principled, but who is pragmatic. I know what compromises I'm making and when. Because I calculate why they need to be made, and I do them with full knowledge of I'm making a compromise, and this is what I need to make a change in the person I'm working with. This is where we disagree. I've always been that guy. I don't lie to you, but I also am not a crank, and I don't want to push you guys into incoherence, and that's where we are right now. I let my, quite frankly, I don't trust her for a variety of reasons. But that doesn't matter. She's a carpetbagger. She's Machiavellian. She is a chameleon. Her background is sus. She used to be a Republican. You know, like, she's unqualified to be a congresswoman. All of that could be true. Every single thing I just said could be true. And she could still be the best choice. It's a congressperson. This is where we send our unexperienced politicians. That's the point of Congress. There's 435 people there. You only have to be 25 years old. It's not intended to be a retirement home. It's supposed to be a place where fresh people go that are inexperienced. Go. That's the whole point of Congress. A lot of respect for you instead of being reflective, instead of doubling down. Well, because I care more about outcomes than I do me looking cringe. And I think all of you are here because you agree with me on that. How long have we been taking shit from Hassan's community, their chat, because we support Graham Plattner? I've been supporting Graham Plattner before everyone else. I tried to give Hassan space to support Graham Plattner again. I'm taking shit from Bad and Panada. I'm taking shit from Claver Knackle, whatever his name is. I'm taking shit from Hoscord for supporting Graham Plattner. And Graham Plattner has skeletons in his closet. So if someone was a Republican, they don't have a place on the left. I'm asking because I was 22 and was in the military, but you can't make these stupid purity tests. I was a Republican. I was in the military. I was born in a Republican family. Now they're not Republican because I changed their mind. But you know who had to change their mind first? Me. I had family members that went to the 2004 RNC that are now Bernie supporters and AOC supporters. I'm not trying to, and the way that everybody acted in the chat, it just reminded me of Bad and Panada fans, man. It reminded me, it's not the way that I want you guys to think about politics. It's not the way I want you guys to interact with our friends and our allies. It put me off, and I was like, I fucked up then. If my chatters who have been with me for years are not taking Hassan charitably, what are we doing here? You're walking back because parasocial weirdos made you look bad in Hassan's chat? I don't know. I feel like you could condemn the weirdos without walking back. I'm not walking anything back. I don't think you guys are understanding. I'm not walking anything back. The only thing I'm walking back is being pragmatic and thinking about the way that we operate. I'm treating Kat differently than I treat other politicians. That's a fact. I have good and valid criticisms, but I'm also giving her absolutely no grace whatsoever. You're allowed to realize that you are being excessively harsh on someone, you know, especially when people you trust and like are telling you that you're being ridiculous. You know, you're allowed to say, like, you know what, maybe I am being too ridiculous. Maybe I am being too harsh. I think one of the problems is the lack of leftist candidates. So we end up hyper-focusing on a small handful. We need to have multiple leftists running for every single office so you can pick the best leftist instead of settling for the only leftist running. None punter. That's exactly my point. There are a lot more leftists running. Here I am. It's an hour into my stream, and I've been talking about Kat. Meanwhile, there's a better candidate in Illinois' 8th district that I've mentioned, what, maybe like 10 minutes? And why are we talking about Kat so much? Because Kat's good at social media. Because Kat has motion. So people talk about her because she already has motion, which is a sign of what? Her skills. We're talking a lot about Kat because she's good at this. So here I am fighting against her because I'm mad at her, and which is a complete waste of our time. I love the stream, but man, we need to move on and talk about those better people. That's what I'm getting around. That's what I'm getting around to. That's what I'm getting around to. What I'm getting around to is, and it's something that I was talking to Hassan about this week, which is I never want to have a situation where a leftist candidate loses a close election because of what I did. I'm sitting here going, oh, Daniel Biss is going to win. It's not that big of a deal. And you're right. You know what? If Daniel Biss wins, it's a downgrade. It's a downgrade from Jan, but it's not the end of the world. And he kind of sucks. He kind of sucks. He's not our favorite candidate. But his position on Israel is just as bad, relatively, as Kat's position on Taiwan. So why am I not going nuclear on Biss? It's because, quite frankly, I feel like she was insulting my intelligence with some of her takes. Where she was like, oh yeah, I just, I decided to run in this district because, and it's like, you decided to run in that district. Let's be honest, because it was a pro-Palestinian rep who was old, so you could do a generational campaign, and you thought you would be able to dodge AIPAC because she was pro-Palestine. So you did a Machiavellian move to advance your career. You forcibly retired a pro-Palestinian rep, and you thought that because you were primarying a pro-Palestinian rep, you wouldn't have any attacks from AIPAC, and you would be able to cruise to victory. Let's be completely honest. That's why she did it. I didn't like that. And by the way, chat, I could say this about her and still go, nonetheless, she's the better candidate. Welcome to politics. It's not something you participate in if you like being perfectly clean. Politics is not about what you've done. It's about what you will do. What will Kat do on Palestine? What will Graham Plattner do about Palestine? I want you to take that phrase I just said and I want you to drill it into your fucking brain. Politics is not about what you have done. It's about what you will do. So AOC might be a CIA plant too, and she's been fine. Okay, she's not a CIA plant. I don't respect the parasocial weirdos that were yelling at Hassan and Mike's name. You cannot like Kat or like her, but taking offense at the idea of someone disagreeing with your streamer because you view the streamer as an extension of your own feelings is by definition is parasocial. That's part of why I'm having this conversation in the way that I am. I want you to disagree. When we disagree with each other, I want us to disagree with each other in a respectful, thoughtful way, giving grace to each other. We didn't do that. I didn't do that. You also said none of this matters because she's going to lose anyway. Do you change your position on that? I think she's going to likely lose, but she might not. I think the election is close enough that I don't want to be the person who gets her defeated. I don't want to be the person that gets her defeated. I don't want that. I don't want that. I think Kat is significantly closer to me than very few politicians are. And it was immature of me to go so nuclear over the fucking Taiwan take, which was a terrible position. She fired the staffer. Like, she's done a lot of things to try to come in our direction. You know, she can't be seen as just flip-flop. Like, imagine if she just flip-flopped. Imagine if she was just like, I renounce everything I just said about Taiwan. Mike is right. She tried to come in our direction as far as she could without looking like she's getting bullied by internet streamers. You know what I mean? Like, we have to start to look at things from her perspective as well, which I did not do. I was being completely unfair. But it's okay. It's okay for me to say that. People were straight up making shit up about you yesterday. LOL, I think there's something going on. Not to mention people low-key might be confusing an idol contest with their politics. Well, the reality is Kat is where she is because she has a lot of fans. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. I've said this before. Parasocial feelings are part of politics. We can rage about them all we want, but I'd rather be supporting a politician that a lot of people are passionate about than a politician that they're not. People are parasocial about Zoran. People are parasocial about Birdie. People are parasocial about AOC. People are parasocial about Kat. People are parasocial about me. They're parasocial about Hassan. That's just life. I'm not going to rage against human nature like an incompetent boob. Anyway, we'll talk. I'm sure we'll come back around to this. I want to get back into talking about more pressing issues of the day. I just want you guys to know that I've thought a lot about this. I've thought a lot about this over the last night, and I'm like, I don't like to see discord between. Anytime I see discord between me and my closest friends, it makes me stop what I'm doing and just go, what the fuck's going on, man? What are we doing? This race is going to be over in 6 days. We've got so many other people we need to help. What are we doing? It doesn't make sense. Look at what we did with Oliver Larkin. We just gave him $75,000 plus to his campaign. From one stream from me, one stream from Hassan. We just gave him a huge influx of cash. We just made him a nationally recognized figure. So many more people are talking about him on Twitter and online. He was a nothing, and we literally did that. We literally did that. I'm going to fuck that up because of a single disagreement on one policy. Like, what are we doing? I don't give a shit about this, honestly. Like, what are we doing? Kat Abughazaleh is not going to cause us to get into a war with China. I shouldn't have gone so ridiculous with over the top with my rhetoric. Her position is insane, and luckily, nobody is going to pursue her position on China. There is no appetite among the left to fight a Cold War with China. This is not 1953. Bernie Sanders, Graham Plattner, AOC, they do not want to be aggressive with China. They've said dumb shit about China too, but things are coming in our direction. Like, what are we doing? Mike, thank you, because you really do hold influence on the online left and curbing wrecker behavior. I don't like wrecker behavior. That's my entire point. I don't like it. And I was doing it. That's just, this is so sudden. It kind of feels like flip-flopping. I am changing my mind. I'm literally going, I don't like the way that we were acting. I was being an asshole. 50K Hassan community barely doubled our tiny community's contribution. Our community isn't tiny. Our community isn't tiny. That's the point. And a large reason why this community isn't tiny is because we're working with real politicians and we work with Hassan. That's why we're not tiny. You know how many people reach out to me now who are really, and if I help them, their campaign might turn around unless I try to make this some sort of fight for no fucking reason. I'm so confused. If you disagree with Hassan, should you hate each other now? No, no, he doesn't even disagree with me. That's the whole point. He doesn't disagree. We're making enemies out of people who agree with us. That means our tactics are bad. If you're making enemies out of your friends, your tactics are bad and you should stop doing that. I think the chatter was joking. Well, yeah, I know, but that's my point. But other chatters are not. And here's the thing. We're right about this position. This is why I changed my mind. Because Hassan agrees with us. He didn't try to defend this position. He's not trying to tell us that this position is a good idea. He's not trying to tell us that it's based to support Taiwan. He agrees. He says 100% this take is a bad take. And we're going to try to pressure her on this take. And she's changed her mind on this take, by the way. She fired her fucking advisor, guys. That was her throwing us a bone. Like, come on. We are changing her mind. And the reality is I was getting vicious. And this is a personality flaw with me. You guys should probably know this by now. I can become vicious. It is actually very bad. I am a person that if I feel aggrieved, I go on the attack. So that is something that's not a good thing. Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it's not. This is a case where it wasn't good. And the reason why I'm reflecting on this is I'm imagining a world where Kat Abu-Ghazaleh loses by 100 votes. How will I feel? Fucking terrible. I'll be completely honest with you. If Kat Abu-Ghazaleh loses by 100 votes, I will feel terrible. I thought about what if I got my way and my rat fucking was the margin of destroying her? How would I actually feel about that? And then I realized I would feel fucking awful and people would be furious at me, rightly so. I would be like, what if Fine wins? What if the polls are wrong and the APAC candidate wins? How would I feel? Your tri-state ego came out. Oh, 100%. Please elevate this candidate. He's running in my district and he's subbed to you and Hassan. Oh, when's his campaign? When's the primary? Oh, by the way, chat, every time you guys tell me about a candidate, tell me when the primary is. Do you have the ability to think for yourself? That's what we're doing here. Being this parasocial about Kat is extreme unexamined privilege. Parasocial relationships go both ways, by the way. I was being parasocial hater, and it's very cringe. And when you realize that you did something cringe, you know what you do? You cringe. Do you have to check with Hassan what your opinion on a candidate will be first? No. I completely disagree with Hassan all the time. But I'm literally evaluating. I just said, let's examine the world where the APAC candidate wins and Kat loses by 100 votes. How would you feel? Let's be honest. What is the #1 issue of import in our country right now? Let's strip it all away. Defeating Israel and ripping out its influence of our country. That is the only issue now. We're in a war with Iran because of Israel. Destroying Israel is our #1 target. It's our #1 goal. Kat Abu-Ghazaleh is in favor of that goal. Maybe not destroying it, but removing any American support that enables its ability to do what it is. That's the reality. It is the primary contradiction. The reason why, and obviously avoiding a Cold War with China is #2. A lot of people don't understand why that's such a risk. I don't think Kat is going to be the person that puts us into a Cold War with China. And I feel like I have no influence over Daniel Biss. None whatsoever. Like, check out Hartzell Gray running as a DSA endorsed candidate in Missouri's floor. Yeah, I already talked to him yesterday. I don't think there's any primaries in April, right? I think this is the last primary. Yeah, we don't have any primaries after next week until May. So we have a good month of like, that's what I thought. We have a good month to find a bunch of sweet candidates. Daniel Biss is being opposed by AIPAC. So is Abu-Ghazaleh. But Abu-Ghazaleh is the only person who has a coherent position defeating AIPAC. Here's my general, like, do you see? Abu-Ghazaleh, I mean, so frustrated over her decision to run in this district, man. I gotta tell you. Daniel Biss deserves pro-Israel support. AIPAC is preparing ads targeting BIS. Yeah, I know. I know. He's a liberal Zionist. He's a liberal Zionist of the Bernie Sanders school. Bernie is now better than BIS. BIS is like Bernie Sanders from 2.5 years ago, which is not great. Mike is about to go back on changing his mind. No, I'm not. I don't change my mind to go. Great, but you didn't vote for Kat. Mala is coming after a lot. I mean, I do think Kat's probably going to lose just because Daniel Biss is a very strong candidate of his own right. But I could see her winning. So I don't, like, here's the thing. I could see her winning. I feel like we're underestimating the left. And if Kat wins, that's a good sign. See, J Street spent on Biss. That's the thing that really makes me... What happens to your integrity if she runs and goes full Fetterman? Why the fuck would Kat Abu-Ghazaleh go full Fetterman? Let's take that serious. Like, this is a sign of me, again, me being way too harsh on my takes and me being extreme and me being parasocial hater. She's going to be in a deep blue district. All of her friends are going to be basically the online left. She's going to basically try to make herself a better AOC. You know what's making me change my mind on Kat is I'm imagining the world where she wins and she's actually good. That's a strong possibility, guys. Her friends are lived up former fake news people at MSDNC. I mean, yeah, that's correct, which is why I am not the biggest fan of her. But let's imagine she actually is good. Imagine a world where she's actually good. Stop being such a fucking pessimist and imagine a world where she's actually good. And then you're like, she's pretty talented. She's pretty talented at this. I think one of the worst things, and it's something that I've talked about a lot, which is John Fetterman betrayed us. John Fetterman betrayed us, and he's left a scar. It's embarrassing. To me, it's embarrassing to Hassan. It's embarrassing to the left in general, is we got duped by John Fetterman. There were reasons to be suspicious of John Fetterman, but largely it's because he had a stroke. It's largely because he had a stroke. His brain is damaged. Let's be honest. Even his wife didn't see it coming. Nobody saw this coming. He's brain damaged. Now he is a conservative Democrat. You know, he quadrupled it down on the most pro-genocide takes possible. So that's the reality that we face. We have a John Fetterman situation where he betrayed us. He embarrassed us. He embarrassed me. He embarrassed Hassan. He embarrassed the online left. There are two ways to take this. The one is to become hyper vigilant, to become scared, to trust again, to become passive and overly suspicious and overly critical and try to stand completely clear of politics. I have specifically told you not to do that. But here I am treating Kat presumptively like she's the next Fetterman. I'm doing exactly the thing I told you not to do. That's an uncomfortable reality that I need to examine. And I think a lot of people, especially if you rode hard against Kat, I need you to understand that I agree with you about her position on Taiwan being unacceptably bad. If that position had never propped up, if her position on Taiwan was, I think we should keep the status quo and cooperate with China, if that's all she said, I would be one of her biggest fans. Now, if all of her positions are that much better than her competition, except one inexplicably bad position that comes from a position of going to GWU and absorbing some dumb shit she got from her professor. I remember what I was like when I was 26. My takes were bad. It is true. And I think the Nida Alam race has made me really reconsider this. Hassan said something to me this week in DMs where he said he never wanted to have another Nida Alam. And I didn't track that. I didn't track how important that feeling was from him. And I didn't really think about it in that way. And, you know, after the way that yesterday went down, and I was just sitting here and I was thinking, how would I feel if Kat Abu-Ghazaleh lost to Lauren Fine? How would I feel if Kat Abu-Ghazaleh barely lost? And the answer is, I could tell you how I feel because I feel it right now. Acid churning regret. Acid churning regret. I'd be like, oh no, I didn't want that to happen. And I also know how we would all react. We'd all be like, well, her position on Taiwan was bad, guys. She deserved it. And we would be doing what? Horrible infighting and terrible, rancid vibes. It would be awful. And so, like, projecting forward a few days from now, thinking about that, I don't want to live in that world, man. I don't want to live in. My children would be at less risk of dying for Taiwan. I mean, I legitimately will tell you that Kat is coming in our direction, even on the Taiwan positions, and she has been giving ground on pretty much every criticism I give of her. And at a certain point, am I going to say, hey, she's giving ground, she's coming in my direction? Like, am I going to do that, or am I going to be a piece of shit and just be like, you could never make me happy ever? Dying for Israel is happening right now. Maybe we should evaluate these things. Hassan must have given you the boss call. No. I'll tell you the last thing Hassan and I said, or Hassan said to me, because it's not a leak. I sent him the position on China that pissed me off. And I was like, bro, this is insane. LMAO. And he said, Mike, I don't think any of this shit is serious. She's 26. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. And she's also malleable. I think we have a lot of, I don't think she's like an agent or whatever. And then I said, I want you to know that I'm normal over disagreements over these kind of things. And I don't want any of my community to act weird as fuck. Apparently you guys all went and acted weird as fuck immediately. Apparently you all went and acted immediately weird as fuck. I trusted you guys. I didn't even realize I said that. I said, and then I also said, I think your position in supporting Kat because she's the most viable anti-APAC candidate is an important point. We were literally having a normal conversation about this, and then you guys went and acted fucking weird. So Mike wasn't right. Oh, I've already been saying this. I've already said this. Just so you guys understand my position on Kat. I think Kat Abu-Ghazaleh is a very talented politician. I think the one thing that pissed me off about her is that she's a very Machiavellian, and she's obviously been changing her positions very rapidly over the last few years to become more left-wing. And she doesn't come from our space. She's not one of us, but she is somebody who's coming in our direction, and she is very talented. And I can tell you right now that when I was 26, I was nowhere near as good as she is. That being said, I think she has a lot of what I would call Elizabeth Warrenite brain. That being said, she's one of the best politicians on being anti-Israel that has a chance of winning. AIPAC is spending $5 million against her. I mean, sorry, they're spending $5 million supporting the AIPAC candidate. They spent $1.2 million against her and $1.5 million against BIS. So I don't want you guys to think that her losing would be good. It would be bad. Okay, man, this is the internet. No matter how you act, you will have parasocial fans. You going all out on her gave people permission to do the same. So true. Which is part of what happens when I go from being a, say, 2K Andy to a 4 or 5K Andy, is that I have to act in a more mature fashion. And I have to realize that my words have more weight. And I have to control my emotions a little bit more. It's just reality. And you guys match my energy. It's not your fault. It's my fault. I mean, that's really what it is. Talk about her age and say she doesn't know what she's talking about is gross. I disagree with her, but as a young female that viewing her opinions pisses me off. I kind of agree with you in the sense that I think Kat is young and she's changing her positions and she's learning what she believes. I've changed my positions from when I was 26. I can tell you right now that I have changed my positions from when I was 26. And I feel like the people around Kat are better than the people that were around me when I was 26. I remember you saying something important. If every rep and senator was voting with her stated position, where would we be as a country? Well, hopefully not every position. Not every position. I think that question is a good question. I am not much of a Kantian. That's a Kantian version of politics. I don't necessarily agree with Kant. But what I would say is this, and I think this is a very important point. Would our politics be better if Kat won than they are right now? That's the question that we should ask ourselves. Our politics won't change no matter who wins? Incorrect. Incorrect. I'm going to make the case for Kat, which I've never done. Just so you guys, and the way that I think about Kat, and I'm going to treat you guys like adults. I'm going to talk about Kat the way that I think about Kat. The reality is that she is a progressive influencer who is allied with the online left, specifically Hassan and other really decent people in general. Her positions on almost every issue would put her on the left flank of the Democratic Party. She probably would be the 10th between the 5 and 10 most progressive member of Congress, putting her somewhere around a 93 or 94%. Her positions on Palestine would be among the better positions of the entire caucus. There's only 3 people that would be on par with her. As far as her position on China, she would be on the right fringe of the progressive caucus. There are plenty of left-wingers who have a similarly bellicose position on China. But I don't think that the foreign policy, the left-leaning foreign policy apparatus agrees with her. So her one position on Taiwan is fucking terrible. But almost every other position she has would be among the best. In light of that, we should recalibrate the way we talk about her, because I just think it's insane what I've been doing, honestly. And she's a good communicator for Palestine on TV. Is she as left wing as me? Not even close. Not even close. The only politician that I've met recently there's only 2 politicians that I've met who I thought these people get it. Summer Lee and Oliver Larkin. Almost every other politician I've met, I've had serious reservations about, including AOC. When I met AOC, I asked her about AIPAC in it was Nina Turner's. Oh, and Francesca is amazing too. When I met AOC in person, it was during Nina Turner's primary against Shontel Brown in Cleveland. And I asked her about how AIPAC was being involved in Democratic primaries. And her question was not very good. Her answer was not great. I think Kat Abu-Ghazaleh would have a better answer on that question. Now, that was 5 years ago plus. Your ability to say when you're wrong, correct the record like this is one of the biggest reasons I continue to support you and hold you in high regard. W, moral consistency. Well, I'm trying not to be so overly emotional and be parasocial hater. I got into a spiral. And you know what made me recognize this more than anything, chat? I saw people hating on me in the same kind of parasocial way that I was hating on Kat. And I was just like, wait a minute. They're looking for like any little thing to try to nitpick. And it's like, oh, Is your and Hassan's opinion because of the proximity to the election? Abso-fucking-lutely. Mike, you treated chat like they're actual people and not hysterical children. Don't ever treat chat. No, I was being the hysterical one. What the fuck are you talking about? I was being the hysterical one. So ultimately, I think what we're going to do is I'm going to reevaluate what I've been saying. I'm going to look at this race with fresh eyes. And the reality is that it's either this, Abu-Ghazaleh, or fine. And from a purely pragmatic world, the best outcome of those 3 would be Kat. If it's Bis, fine, or Abu-Ghazaleh, the best outcome is Kat, period. And that doesn't mean that I support her with no reservations. We already know what my reservations are. I have yelled them from the rooftops. I've yelled them from the rooftops. And I don't want to be a person who ends up on the side of AIPAC. I don't want to be a person who is a useful idiot for AIPAC or Israel. Defeating them is my #1 priority. Has always been. What about the problem with letting in a pro-CIA elected? Is it worse to let in a talented throat cutter? The reality is I was doing, this was me with Kat.
They're on to me, dude. Those guys are sharp as nails up there. You can't put anything past them. Oh my God, dude, I'm freaking out. I am so stressed out. I feel like I'm having a panic attack.
You want to talk about stress? You want to talk about stress? Okay? I've stumbled onto a major company conspiracy, Mac. How about that for stress?
What the hell are you talking about?
This company is being bled like a stuffed pig, Mac, and I got a paper trail to prove it. Check this out. Take a look at this.
Jesus Christ,
That right there is the mail. Now let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail, please, Mac? I'm dying to talk about the mail with you all day, okay? Pepe Sylvia. This name keeps coming up over and over again. Every day, Pepe's mail's getting sent back to me. Pepe Sylvia, Pepe Sylvia. I look in the mail. Well, this whole box is Pepe Sylvia. So I say to myself, I gotta find this guy. I gotta go up to his office. I gotta put his mail in the guy's goddamn hands. Otherwise, he's never gonna get it. It's gonna keep coming back down here. So I go up to Pepe's office, and what do I find out, Mac? What do I find out? There is no Pepe Sylvia. The man does not exist, okay? So I decided, oh, shit, buddy, I gotta dig a little deep.
So, honestly, chat, if you looked into my background, it's just as fucking shitty as Kat's. Who the fuck, where do I get off, honestly? You know, like, I was going way too hard on her. I think the most important position you're walking back is Bis and Kat are the same. Here's what I would say. If Bis wins, it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world if Bis wins. He's not a mega, Netanyahu Zionist, but it would be much worse than if Kat wins. Kat would be significantly better than Daniel Bis on the most important issue of the day, which is stopping AIPAC and stopping Israel. And that's really all you need to say. And I think part of the thing that frustrates me is it has to do with my own regrets in life. If I'm being completely honest with you, I feel like I need to be doing more in politics. I need to be doing more. And I think it's pretty impressive what Kat has managed to do at 26. Bro, the only defense of her is she's young and doesn't believe it. That's stupid. Of course she believes it. That's not what I said. I think she has a objectively bad position on Taiwan, but every politician has some objectively bad positions. And the reality is the world where she wins is better than the world where she doesn't. And that is fundamentally how I look at politics. I fundamentally look at politics like, are we moving the ball forward? And you could just tell that Kat Abu-Ghazaleh is a talented politician. And I think that if she were to win this race, it would be a good thing. And I don't want to be the person who rat fucks Kat. I actually don't want to be that person. I was being snide. I was acting like I was a 200 viewer Andy. I was acting like I had no influence. I was acting like somebody who was just standing aside for politics as an observer with no impact. And the reality is that I'm not that guy anymore. I have impact. What I say matters, and I have to be more mature and responsible. I'm 40 fucking years old, okay? Like I need to like treat what I'm doing with more seriousness. And I usually do. But with Kat, I allowed myself to become toxic. And that's just not the way I am and not the way I think about politics. That's really honestly the reality. It doesn't help that the worst people online started pushing Kat after a Taiwan take. Yes. If I were going to defend myself, if I were going to say like, well, this is why I did it, it's because all the worst people on the internet started promoting Kat and say her Taiwan position is based. And that pissed me off. And I let my emotions get to the better of me. You know, I let my emotions get the better of me and be like, fuck her, I hope she loses. Because I was saying that and that is immature. I should have just been like, these people have no influence over Kat. They don't represent her real views. These people are dumb. What about the tweet storm yesterday? You should probably delete that. I'm probably going to delete it. I'm probably going to delete it because if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. I don't know, man. I feel like everything you're saying here could have been said in 2024, where obviously the world where Trump wins is worse, but it doesn't mean we have to support Kamala. I think that there is a significant difference between Kamala Harris and Kat Abu-Ghazaleh. And the difference between them is Kat Abu-Ghazaleh is a pro-Palestinian woman who is good on almost every single domestic issue. And she has one foreign policy take that I disagree with very strongly. Another foreign policy take that I think is naive and bad. I mean, like, let's be honest, okay? Like, but on the most important issues, she's standing right with us. What am I doing here? What the fuck am I doing here? The difference is Kamala Harris was saying she's going to keep doing a genocide. The difference is Kamala Harris is not influenced by us at all. The difference is Kamala Harris is not giving any ground to us. Kat Abu-Ghazaleh has been giving me ground every step of the way. That's the facts. Now, if you went after Kat harshly in Hassan's stream because of stuff I said, I apologize for contributing to that, because that's not the way that we are here. Kamala Harris is pro-genocide. Kat Abu-Ghazaleh isn't. Like, that's just the reality. And so I don't, I'll have to reflect on why I made why I got so harsh against Kat. I think part of it has to do with, I really do think that Taiwan position is incredibly dangerous and bad. And like an autistic guy that I am, I hyper fixated on it because it's so irrational and so indefensible that I just fixated and spiraled on it. And I was like, this is fucking insane. And it is bad. But that's not the whole person that Kat Abu-Ghazaleh is. You're allowed to say that I think this position is catastrophically stupid and bad and harmful, but it isn't the entire person. Alrighty, well, I think that's a good place for us to stop talking about that and move on to more important shit, namely the Iran war that's happening. I'll be thinking about that tomorrow more. We'll talk more about the other positions. I may reach out to Kat myself. I think one of the things is a lot of people, if you don't really know me, you may see the bombastic version of me who is so confident, is so sure of himself, is so harsh, is aggressive. And you might think that that's the only gear that I have, but that's not who I am. I am somebody who thinks a lot about what I say. And usually that works out. Usually I have a pretty good track record. But sometimes, no matter how good you are, you're going to get over your skis. Every skier falls down. Did you watch the Olympics? The best skiers in the world were falling the fuck over. It happens. I'd like to know if the CIA Mentor University is disinformation. No, it's not disinformation. It's true. But I don't think Kat is CIA. I think I took something that is true, and it's almost very certain that she did have some sort of contact with professors who are very right wing. But it doesn't mean she's CIA. Okay, like it is. If you're in an American university, you're in an American university. Ultimately, we're gonna push on, and I'm gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this out. Mike from CIA. Also, like, listen, what is the more important thing? This is socialism for a reason. It's not Mikeism. You know what I mean? Like, it's socialism, which means that I have stuff to learn from you and you have stuff to learn from me. And sometimes I am fallible. Remember that. Are we getting that announcement today? We may do that. All right. It's time to talk about what's going on. The new Ayatollah has declared, Khamenei has declared that the Strait of Hormuz will be closed. An American tanker ship has been destroyed.
In the Middle East, which is escalating on multiple fronts this morning as Iran ramps up attacks on shipping traffic and energy infrastructure. U.S. officials say American and Israeli aerial attacks have crippled Iran's air defenses, but Iran continues to fire missiles and drones across the region. In Bahrain, new video shows firefighters battling huge flames at a fuel storage facility following an Iranian strike there. Iraq was forced to shut down oil port operations this morning after deadly attacks on 2 foreign oil tankers. Iran also hit a container ship off the coast of Dubai. Overnight, the global price of oil... There you
go, chat. There it is. I believe this is an American tanker ship.
Attacks on 2 foreign oil tankers. Iran also hit a container ship off the coast of Dubai. Overnight, the global price of oil surged at one point above $100 a barrel, even after a group of more than 30 countries pledged to tap their reserves to help stabilize volatile markets. Meanwhile, President Trump continues to give mixed messaging on the war with Iran, both downplaying the conflict and bragging about the success of the U.S. military. We'll just show you what he said yesterday in Cincinnati.
And we did a little excursion. We had to take this little few weeks of excursion, but it's been incredible. Our military is unbelievable, the job they're doing. I would say, to put it mildly, way ahead of schedule. But 47 bad years we suffered with them, not only us, the rest of the world. And we're doing our job. So we had to take an excursion, but it's doing well. The market's holding up well. Prices are coming down very substantially. Oil will be coming down. That's just a matter of war. That happens you can almost predict it. I would say it went up a little bit less than we thought. It's going to come down more than anybody understands.
You just said it is a little excursion, and you said it is a war. So which one is it?
Well, it's both. It's both. It's an excursion that will keep us out of a war, and the war is going to be. For them, it's a war. For us, it's turned out to be easier than we thought.
So the excursion keeps us out of the war that it also is. Plus, how can you be ahead of schedule for a timeline in a conflict that has been unestablished? We don't know how long this was ever set to last, and the president keeps changing the timeline, making it even harder for his advisors to give clear briefings to lawmakers and other entities on what exactly should be expected here, what the exit strategy is, what the end goal is, too. All of that swirling in the pot. And then there's this. A preliminary investigation by the Pentagon has found that the United States is responsible for the deadly Tomahawk missile strike on an elementary school in Iran. The strike was launched on the first day of U.S. attacks on Iran, killing at least 170 people, according to Iranian officials. Most of the people killed were children. A U.S. official familiar with the matter tells MS Now the fatal hit was the result of dated targeting information that identified the school as part of an adjacent military complex. You've heard us talk here about how there's an IRGC headquarters that was right next to this school, and that might have explained what happened here. The findings were first detailed in the New York Times, which reported the building had been part of an Iranian Revolutionary Guard base, but was turned into a school several years ago. People briefed on the investigation told the paper that officers at U.S. Central Command created the target coordinates for the strike using outdated data provided by the Defense Intelligence Agency. Officials emphasized to the Times that the findings are preliminary as the investigation.
Okay, but that was the first day. That was the first day of strikes. That was on the top of the strike list. So if the very first day, top of the strike list, is that fucking inaccurate, how many other innocent people were bombed?
Continues, many questions remain about why the outdated information was even provided, leading to one of the deadliest military errors in decades. And President Trump, who in recent days repeatedly suggested Iran might have launched the strike by obtaining a Tomahawk missile and then using it to strike its own people, Trump was asked yesterday about this new reporting. Watch.
A new report says that the military investigation has found that the United States struck the school in Iran. As Commander-in-Chief, do you take responsibility for that?
That is what?
As Commander-in-Chief, do you...
For what?
For the strike on the school in Iran. A new report says the military investigation has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about it.
Oil is now close to $100 again. God, he's such a fucking piece of shit. What a scumbag. Why the fuck would anybody like this guy? Why the fuck would anybody like this guy? He's such a fucking piece of subhuman shit. Why should I take responsibility for the war that I ordered?
Holmes doing a great job there. Joining us now, defense editor at The Economist, Shashank Joshi.
Fill your bathtub with gasoline to acquire generational wealth. Rosalux, stop memeing. That's a very dumb joke. It's a very dumb meme.
Shashank, good morning. Thank you for joining us. You know, between this reporting on the school strike, which the president has been out of step with almost every single advisor, including Pete Hegseth, who is unwilling to make the same conclusions that the president is. And then you've also got the initial price tag that we're hearing about on Capitol Hill. Do you think that any of these things influence the days to come as we start to get a clearer picture of this war's first few weeks?
So, chat, it's gonna get worse. Here is the price of oil right now. After having a couple days where it was sideways or even lower, the price of oil is now about to hit $100 a barrel again. This is the highest price it's been for almost 4 years during the peak of the inflation post-COVID inflationary bubble. Back in January, it was only $60, so it's up 40% in what, less than 2.5 months. Short it. Why the fuck do you think it's going to go down?
What does Francisco Blanch think? He's BofA Securities Head of Commodities and Derivatives Research. Francisco, it's good to see you. Are we going back up to 119, or we're kind of, going to look back on that and say, yeah, no, that was just a one-off thing?
Well, I really think it depends on the duration of this conflict. We are looking at, in our baseline scenario, we are looking at Brent averaging $77.5 for the year, which would imply prices likely peak sometime this quarter, next quarter, averaging, so this month, next month, averaging about $85, $90 a barrel. But that's only if the conflict ends shortly. I think if we are looking at a prolonged conflict where it spills into the second quarter, prices will be meaningfully higher. We think that we could see highs of $130 a barrel if we spill into a second quarter. If we spill into the third quarter, we think the highs could be 160, 170. And of course, if we start carving into the fourth quarter, we could be over $200 a barrel. But that would require a pretty extended conflict here, in our view.
Right. I mean, we're hoping it doesn't do anything like. Does it make sense to you, Francisco, the market action, the price of oil, stocks here?
I think oil's reacting with the view that this war is going to last days, if not maybe a couple more weeks, and that kind of makes sense to me. The deficits that we estimate for this quarter.
Can I just say that we don't get to choose when the war ends? Iran does. We started the war. We killed their leaders. We bombed their cities. We bombed their navy. We bombed their defenses. We don't get to say when the war ends. The war has begun. It's easy to start wars. Iran, they're making more money. Oil prices go up. They sell their oil to China and India. China and India will buy it. Yeah, Vio, look what Vio brought. Here, hold on. You don't have to move. I can expand this. Hold on. Is she scratching you? She's showing her claws. She's like, I'm a scratcher. Why isn't anybody saluting General Sherman? What the fuck? She's getting her hair. Getting your hair. Thank you for the cat interlude. So Iran has started this war. prepared for just this eventuality. And we did the maximum offensive action, which is we killed their leader of their country, who's also a religious figure. We killed a bunch of little girls. Like, what? You think we could just stop the war? They want revenge. And they're, as I said before, they're making more money because they could sell that oil to China and India. They give them what? A $10 a barrel discount, and they'll have all the oil they could sell because China and India will be able to flip finished crude products to the rest of the world. They have absolutely no incentive other than if the United States does what? Widespread bombs their infrastructure, murders more innocent civilians. Well, in that case, they have all the incentive in the world to make the world economy scream. They need to reestablish deterrence, chat. That is the problem, is that we are in a period where Iran has to be seen as winning. The regime's survival depends upon it. Either the United States has to be willing to invade and capitulate the regime, which we're not willing to do. The price would be too high. If the United States of America was resolved to do it, and they're ready to send the entire United States military into Iran, we might be able to do it. The casualties would be horrific. It would make the Iran war and the Afghanistan war look like a fucking patty cake. Russia and China would have the opportunity to send low-cost first-person drones into the country. American soldiers would be trotting on improvised explosive devices. They'd be getting hit with drones. It would be a bloody conflict. Maybe we could capitulate them. Maybe we could capitulate them. Maybe. But we're talking about trillions of dollars and tens of thousands of casualties, if not hundreds of thousands of casualties. And for what? The world economy would be fucking destroyed.
Barrels from Hormuz. But it only goes on for, again, it's only, our numbers only work if this lasts for days, not months, right? So there's a clear time limit as to how much the market can take, and there's a risk that it goes up exponentially if somehow the conflict extends itself into in time. That's, I think, very, very important. So market's confidence is going to end up soon, and that's kind of what President Trump has been guiding everyone to think, I think.
Oil may be the least important major commodity going through the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, fertilizer, you want to eat over wanting to drive, and fertilizer, 30 to 50%, different types of chemicals going through, potable drinking water, natural gas, which goes into even things like pharmaceuticals, all going through that strait, Francisco. But you got to admit, sort of to Kelly's point, this is remarkable. I want to kind of just highlight to our audience, we have the greatest supply disruption in oil since the early 1970s, since sort of the Suez crisis and war, and yet the price of oil, while higher than it was a while ago, is still the same price it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and lower than it was 4 years ago. Even you, Francisco, have got to admit, that is remarkable.
It is remarkable. There's no question about it. But I also think that a lot of it is because the market still prices in a pretty short duration of this conflict. Remember, the U.S. today is a net energy exporter. There is, of course, the potential response from U.S. shale. There is strategic stocks. China itself has built a massive strategic petroleum reserve. So there's a number of buffers. But as I said, if it goes on in time...
By the way, chat, oil, since this conversation happened earlier this morning, oil has now crossed $100 a barrel. So it's up $8 since this conversation happened this morning. That's an 8% increase since this morning.
This is 20% of the world's supplies we're looking at here for oil and gas. It will impact all markets. In fact, it's already impacting markets. We are seeing factories in different parts of the world slowing down and shutting off temporarily because of a lack of feedstock for petrochemicals, for instance. And again, if you look at the Russia-Ukraine war, it kind of started a little bit like this. It just went on forever, and we ended up with essentially $600 a barrel global gas, or $99 NMBTU global gas. So again, a lot of it's the duration. We started in February. The war started in February, and Putin invaded Ukraine. Gas didn't peak until September, so it took 6 months for that. So let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah,
it really is about the duration of the conflict.
Fair enough. And you know, to quote the great poet philosopher Mike Tyson, he said, "Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face." And we're talking about a 2-week war, 3-week war, and we'll talk about this a little more with Secretary of Interior Doug Burgum in a moment. But yet, Iran is going to have a say in all of this. We don't know anything about the new supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei's son. We don't know anything about who's actually running the country. And we do know that, like today, some ships were hit with drones. Thankfully, I hope everybody was okay. Oman may or may not be partly on fire. What if this does go on for 5 months? Then what?
Well, if this goes on for 5 months, as I mentioned, we are going to have a massive energy supply shortfall, and therefore the mother of all demand rationing exercises. Energy and GDP are closely interlinked. So 1% energy is about 1% GDP. If we lose, let's say, Hormuz, we are talking about 20% of world's oil supplies and 20% of LNG. Put it all together, you're probably losing roughly about 10-15% of aggregate energy supplies. So you know, unless we can reroute, we are probably going to lose several percentage points of global GDP. That's the reality of this war if it goes on for 6-12 months. Now, I'm not sure that the Iranians have the ability to do that. I think we've heard messages from the Trump administration saying they are confident they're going to reopen the Strait. But also we saw what happened with the Houthis in Yemen and how bad that went with Bab el-Mandeb and the Red Sea. So those are some of the big concerns we all have as to the duration of this war. We don't know, as you said.
Yeah, we don't.
I think we haven't even heard the voice of the new Iran leader.
No.
Many people haven't heard his voice.
Well, chat, $170 a barrel, 5 to 10% GDP loss globally. That would be a Great Depression-style crash. And 32 nations have agreed to release their emergency oil stockpiles. And prices are still climbing.
Oil prices shot back up to over $100 a barrel overnight as Iran focuses more of its attacks on fuel, tankers, fuel depots, infrastructure across the region. Just take a look at this video from Bahrain. This morning, the International Energy Agency is sounding new alarms, saying that the war in the Middle East is causing the, quote, largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. Main reason, oil has been stuck in the Middle East for more than a week because of right there what you're looking at, the Strait of Hormuz. The IEA says the flow of crude and oil products through the Strait of Hormuz has reduced to a trickle. Now President Trump is trying to blunt the impacts of this, authorizing the release of 172 million barrels of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
Guys, this is almost nothing. This is almost nothing. The United States itself, what are we consuming? 15 million barrels of oil a day? How many million barrels of oil per day U.S. consume? Oh, I'm sorry, 20 million. So the United States alone consumes 20 million. So us releasing 17 million barrels of oil is not even 9 days worth of oil. The world uses 100 million barrels a day. So this is what? 5.5 days of oil? It's a lot, but it's nothing. The other thing is the United States, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve was not even full. Trump could have bought a bunch of oil for $60 a barrel and then sold it for $100 a barrel. But they didn't even fill it first. They're stupid. It was half empty. China is suspending refined fuel exports. The world, and if you want to know why this is, it's because China is going to keep prices low within China. They're going to buy oil from Iran and Russia at a discounted price, and then they're going to refine it in their country. And because there's no exports, foreign consumers can't compete. And so the Chinese economy will be largely unaffected. The problem is China relies on exports, which means all of our economies crashing. It's going to hurt China.
Part of a broader release of a record 400 million barrels agreed to by the 32-nation International Energy Agency.
CNN business executive editor David Goldman is here with us now. You wrote that
I should probably move some money, huh, Shah? If you have any money, you should probably make sure that it's in a FDIC insured account.
IEA releasing 400 million barrels of oil is like smashing the brake in case of emergency glass. But what will it mean? Is that enough to sort of make things easier for people and businesses, or is it just a drop in the bucket, so to speak?
Well, it's clearly not having an impact right now. I mean, what John was just saying is so key. The only thing that the oil market cares about is getting the Strait of Hormuz back open. This was an extraordinary release of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and it didn't have an impact at all on oil prices. The fact that we went back above $100 last night kind of tells you everything you need to know. It's just not going to help unless we get that strait back open.
I'm curious how long, if this goes on for a few more weeks or months, how long before there's a breaking point where it's very hard to go back? It takes a long time for supply chains to recover, as we saw when it came to COVID.
Yeah, duration is key here, because the longer this goes on, the more pain for you and me. It's not just that we're filling our tanks at $3.60 today. That could go to $4, but truckers are filling their trucks with diesel, which is closing in on $5, and all the stuff that's on those trucks is going to be more expensive for you and me. The businesses that are loading stuff onto trucks, that costs more money for them, and they're paying all these tariff costs. Do you think that they're going to eat the cost of the fuel surcharges? I don't think so. Those are costs that you and I are going to pay too.
Ultimately, how high do you think this is going? We're now, when it hits above 100 a barrel, we all feel it. Where do you see this going if this continues to be blocked?
Well, there is other oil in the world. I mean, we're a huge producer of oil in the United States, the largest in the world, actually. And so there's a point at which, you can't make oil more expensive and people will continue to pay for it. Everyone seems to think that $150 a barrel is the peak for this if the strait is just permanently closed.
No, it could go higher than that. It can go higher than that, because it's not just the strait that's closed. It's really more like 30% of all oil and gas will be imperiled. And then even getting the oil and gas will require more transportation networks that are not currently existing. So, for example, Europe, how are they going to get access to gas? They're going to have to get it from where? The United States, which means they have to move ships around the world in different places than they currently are flowing. They're not there yet. It takes a month to sail. It takes a while to go from being stuck on the other side of the Strait of Hormuz. All those ships that are stuck within the Persian Gulf are shut in. They can't be moved. And all the ships that are outside the Strait of Hormuz, they have to what? They're going to transit the Red Sea right next to the Houthis. Okay, now they're sailing around the Horn of Africa. Now they're sailing through the Strait of Malacca to cross the Pacific and then through the Panama Canal. Are they Panamax? Or are they too big for the Panama Canal? Then they have to go what? The Drake fucking Passage? Like, we are in deep fucking shit here. Stuff doesn't move around the world instantaneously. We're not orbs. Strait of Hormuz being closed for 3 months will get Brent crude up to $164 a barrel. What makes you think it'll open in 3 months? So we're looking at what? $8, $9, $10 a barrel gas. Cuba and China agree to strengthen bilateral ties days after Trump floats friendly takeover of Cuba. Right now, China is exporting a large amounts of solar panels and batteries to Cuba that are being installed right now.
So, that's $5 gas. That's maybe $5.50 gas. So, you have to wonder how much longer this is going to go and if we're going to get to that point. But that's about how high this could go.
Yeah, if the average is $5 or $5.50 in California, that means $7, $8, and we're starting to see some of those numbers creep up there in places like Los Angeles. Thank you so much, David. Really insightful. A lot of people worrying about this very particular issue that affects literally everybody in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Happy to help.
Appreciate it.
Joining us right now is the Energy Secretary of the United States to talk about this. Chris Wright. Secretary, thank you for coming in. Does this announcement about the drawdown of SPRO and with the IEA mean the problem is solved in your view?
Oh, no, this does not mean it's solved. The problem is Iran's behavior, Iran's military, Iran's threatening for American troops, their neighbors, energy markets for 47 years. But the disruption of oil, temporary disruption of oil through the Straits of Hormuz, that's what the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is for. So as we have a shortage of market coming through that avenue, we're going to bring oil to market through other avenues to get through a few weeks of a short-term dislocation to get to a much better place on the other side.
You say a few weeks. That's the view from the United States, maybe the president. But as we've seen overnight, Iran has a say in how long this goes on. Israel has a say in how long this goes on as well, with the IEA's announcement of releasing a third of emergency reserves yesterday. Reaction overnight was oil went up over 100. Again, the message being then that the only thing that matters is Hormuz. Can the United States declare victory, success, without the Strait of Hormuz being reopened?
No, the Straits of Hormuz needs to be and will be reopened. The U.S. military is there to.
The problem is they can't do that without invading Iran and securing the Strait physically. Because all you have to do, I mean, you would have to have the entire coast of Iran goes into the Strait. It's just, what are you talking about? Jim Cramer went mask off. If the infrastructure is not taken out and the money is not taken away, why should Iran come to the peace table? They are taunting us with $200 oil. They do not have the cards. Our military must be unleashed. I have to do what we did to Hanoi. Get them to the table. We lost in Vietnam, Jim. We fucking lost. The linebacker bombings did not work, Jim. You don't know what you're saying. You can carpet bomb them all you want. Chat, have you guys seen the Nazis on TikTok are going crazy with their new edits? I saw a Nazi edit really recently and I was like, holy shit. The war on Iran is like hyper driving anti-Semitism in this country. I saw 2 videos, one by Nick Fuentes and one by like some random. And I was like, oh my God, they're making everyone anti-Semitic. This war in Iran is making everyone anti-Semitic. This is fucking terrible. I don't even like
solve a long-term problem, which is Iran's had 47 years an ability to threaten the Straits of Hormuz, and not long.
And they didn't do it, you dumb motherfucker. They didn't do it when they were left alone. They didn't do it. They let everybody go. Till you assassinated their religious leader, you dumb piece of shit. You attacked them. You attacked them.
From now, Iran would have nuclear arms and a massive missile program surrounding that. This was a can that could not be kicked down the road one more administration. We need to defang, and we are defanging Iran's abilities to threaten American troops in the areas, its allies, its neighbors, and global energy markets. So, yes, you've got to go through short-term pain to solve a long-term problem. This is bold leadership of President Trump. This is what the world needs.
But understanding this going in, the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve was at about half-ish, I'll say, full when the war started. The president had campaigned, Secretary, on refilling the Strategic Reserve right up to the top. His words. Why go to war in the Middle East with a depleted emergency reserve?
Well, number one, as we bring this oil out, it will be exchanges. We'll pull out 170 million barrels and put over 200 million barrels back in at no cost to the taxpayer. Because the price of oil in the short term is higher right now than the price of oil a year down the road.
But that doesn't alleviate the crisis today. You can only put back, the flow rate can only be about 2 million, and that's being optimistic, barrels a day into the global system. So you've got a long time to untwist this problem, no matter what.
Oh, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. What is the capacity to drain the reserve? The way that reserves tip as storage wells is usually how we store these amounts of oil, oil. Like oil and natural gas are usually stored in previously expelled wells called storage wells. So they have a flow rate. They can only pump out so much. And the way that consumption works is in a capitalist economy, the absolute number usually goes up. So unless we're constantly building new reserve wells and filling them up, the flow rate is probably not been improved since the fucking 70s. The strategic reserve could only pump 2 million barrels a day. They're so fucking cooked. So they drill it out, then pump it back in, then pump it back out later? Yes, basically. Well, actually, it's more like this. Getting into oil economics for a second. Most of the oil in the United States is pumped from federal land, meaning government owns the land. And so the federally owned land in wilderness, they have to pay a royalty to the government every time they pump oil. They get a lease from the government and they have to pay a royalty to the government. Most of the royalty is paid in kind, meaning, let's say it's an 1/8 royalty. That means what, 12.5%. of the oil that gets pumped out of the wells goes to the United States. And they put that oil into the strategic oil reserve. So that's typically the source of it. Now, strategic reserves are oftentimes in wells that are they're positioned close to refinery infrastructure. So you're moving oil from all over the country to a kind of centralized collection point. And most of the oil produced goes directly to refineries right away and is not put into storage. We don't actually have that much storage capacity. That's why during COVID, there was a negative price action for oil, because during COVID, when the economy got shut down and people weren't buying gas, the oil producers, they can't shut off oil. The pumps are tapping into a pressurized well. And so the oil is coming up on its own. And so they have this production that is continually flowing, right? And they have to maintain pressure throughout the entire system by having more oil flow. But when at a certain point, all the storage gets filled, they either have to shut in the wells, namely like dismantle them, or the system will fail. USDE shipping rule to bid to tame spiraling fuel prices. Amazing.
That whole thing about Trump not being able to refill the SPR because Joe Biden destroyed it by draining it too fast at 1 million barrels a day. And I told you that's not true. You can pull up to 4 million barrels a day out of it. The Secretary of Energy has been saying this a lot. And so has a ton of ultra-conservative MAGA energy experts. Well, today they announced they're going to release 172 million barrels a day out of the SPR, and they're going to do it even faster than Joe Biden did it. Yeah.
No, 172 million barrels, not barrels a day.
1.5 million barrels a day. And why are they going to do it? To lower gas prices. I distinctly remember them saying Joe Biden should go to prison for doing that. And now they're going to do it. And do you know why the release is 172 million barrels? This just goes to prove that these people can't do anything without thinking about the politics of it. If you take the oil that Biden sold out of it that wasn't mandated sales, and you take the oil that he put back in it, it would be just over 172 million. Yes, just over. Trump wants to be able to say he did it, but less than Biden. That's an alpha male if I ever saw one. Thanks. You guys remember that whole thing about Trump not being able to refill the SPR because Joe Biden destroyed it?
I mean, what's happening right now is why the SPR exists. The SPR exists so that we could attack countries in the Middle East.
Of course, this is in coordination with 30 countries. The real issue right now is Asian refineries. That's where oil coming out of the Gulf goes to. So Japan is releasing at a much higher relative rate to their imports. It's the Asian refineries that we want to keep running and tamp down the price of oil to the extent we can through this few weeks crisis. President Trump's thinking long term. He's not thinking about next month. He's thinking about what's best for the American people, what's best for the American economy, and what brings safety to our troops in the region and brings prosperity to the Middle East. That is a troubled region that needs to have its one major problem fixed.
Secretary, the immediate focus is very clearly in some part and needs in likely becoming more part getting the Strait of Hormuz open. The Biden administration, when faced with threats to shipping in a different regard, they formed a naval coalition with many countries to help protect shipping in the Red Sea when an Iranian proxy fired at ships. Why aren't you doing the same here when success hinges on reopening the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, we will and are doing the same thing. But right now, all of our military assets are focused on degrading, destroying Iran's ability to threaten its neighbors, to threaten our...
It can't. Iran is a gigantic country. The Shahid drones are cheap. We only have so many interceptors. They can be launched out of a container. What, you're going to bomb every shipping container in the entire country? We don't have the bombs. All they have to do is wheel out a truck and they can launch 10 fucking drones at a ship. I mean, what are you doing? What are you fucking doing?
Troops. So we're destroying their ability to produce missiles, to produce a nuclear program, to produce weapons of all kinds. Not just their existing weapons, their ability to produce those weapons. You will see the United States working with other nations to allow the return of traffic through the Straits of Hormuz. That's coming. We're less than 2 weeks into this 47-year-long conflict. So, yes.
But I've heard from many a smart person, though, who worked in previous administrations, though, if it was safe for the U.S. Navy to escort tankers through the Strait of Hormuz, they would be doing so right now.
All of our military assets right now are focused on destroying Iran's ability to wage war and terrorize the neighborhood. When we can afford some additional assets to move tankers through the Straits of Hormuz, we will do that. That's coming.
More ships were struck in the Strait overnight. The tankers on fire in the port of Oman. Add it all up. Are we in the midst of a severe global oil crisis, Secretary?
We're in the midst of a significant disruption in the short term to fix the security of energy flow for the long term.
How?
Gobbledygook. Gobbledygook. The only way you would be fixing the flow for the long term is if you plan to invade Iran and install a new government that will be allied with the United States. Is that the plan? Are we invading Iran? And if we invade Iran, the disruptions are going to last for years, not months. Your resident AG rail shipper here. AG shipments will slow down as railroads start to focus more on energy shipments, all going to Gulf for exports. AG shipments will slow down. Higher freight rail costs. I'm plugging in anywhere from 10 to 15 cents per bushel increase just in the short term. The commander of the IRGC Navy says we guarantee the security of any oil tanker under any flag that could convince an American destroyer to escort it through the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know. I mean,
hard is the pain.
I mean, are they going to try to like get a U.S. ship heavily damaged? Is that the plan? And then be like, we have to invade. They've gone mad. Is that the plan?
And how much are people going to have to endure? Gas prices are going up. Jet fuel prices are jumping, and CEOs are saying that ticket prices are also going to go up. Iran just said that the world should be ready for oil at $200 a barrel. You don't agree with Iran on anything, but do you agree that people need to be prepared for that?
We're going through short-term energy disruption for just huge long-term gain. You're seeing Iran's behavior.
Could
They're
that
attacking
hit? Could short-term mean $200 a barrel?
I would say unlikely, but we are focused on the military operation and solving a problem. I'm not going to guess on short-term trading. That's based on psychology more than flows of oil. The world is very well supplied with oil.
Markets are based on psychology? I thought they were perfect calculating machines. Wait a minute. The markets are based on psychology? I didn't realize you're a left-winger now. I didn't realize you're a left-winger. Joseph Stiglitz is energy secretary, I guess.
Right now, thanks to President Trump's leadership, we're by far and away the world's largest oil producer, by far and away the world's natural gas producer. Both of those are growing. We've been moving into an age of energy security, and we're fixing the huge overhang on global energy security, which is Iran's behavior and Iran's arsenal.
All right, chat, we have the first statement from Iran's new supreme leader.
Here's Iran's new supreme leader speaking now.
Aims and goals have been foiled and aborted. He also confirmed the necessity of continuing the defensive activity, and he also added that it's important to continue the closure of Hormuz Strait, or the Strait of Hormuz. Also, he said the path of the war, or the route of the war, will continue depending on the interests of the parties. Also, he expressed his solidarity with those who lost their lives and with the wounded and their families, and confirmed that there will be revenge for the blood of the martyrs, particularly the children who are at the School of Mina. In another part, the Supreme Leader pointed out that there will be a message to the officials in the countries of the region. They must know that Iran is quite keen on the relations between Iran and the countries of the region, adding that the enemy wants us to be in different moods in order to control our region. He said that Iran has warned previously that the war against Iran must not affect our relationship with our neighbors, despite the fact that we have been attacked from some of the American bases in these countries. In the name of Allah Almighty, Allah Almighty will give us the best, and peace be upon you all.
There you have it, a message from Iran's new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. Let's go back to it.
peace be upon those who want the best for Iran and the Iranian people. At the very beginning, we must talk to the people, especially after the martyrdom of the supreme leader of Iran. And I'd like to thank everyone in the Iranian people and in the Muslim world for their sympathy and support. The martyrs are always in the best place, and the recent war will be having its repercussions. I'd like to talk to the Iranian people who have clearly shown the expert council their support through the radio and the TV of Iran. I have learned the result of the Supreme Council voting, and from my position, the place that hosts Al-Khamenei and Al-Khamenei, this position necessitates a lot, not only this period or the past period, but also for the future of the country. The death of a leader has always shown the world that he was always based on the truth. He was always talking about the truth. And he has a great character, and the scholars have their own characteristics. And I will stop it here, and I will continue talking about the Supreme Leader for next occasion. The responsibility is big. The responsibility is very big, and I ask the power and support from Allah Almighty and from you. The connection is always there between the leadership and the people. Al-Khamenei and Khamenei have helped the people to be involved to the policy of the country and have stressed the importance of the meaning of the Islamic Republic. They believed in this identity, and we have seen this side during the recent days where before the enemies were trying hard to hate the people before the expert council can find a supreme leader. Now I'm here, and the Iranian people have shown the world that they are great people, and we all have the good successor, and Allah Almighty is helping us to do that job. It's quite important to understand profoundly and perfectly the verses of the Holy Quran. We want to resort to the Holy Quran to make sure that the role of the leaders, the role of the great leaders is quite important, and it is a blessing to have these leaders, and it is a blessing to learn a lot from their characters and their characteristics. It's quite important to always be together, and the leader cannot work without you. The leader cannot work without the support of the people. And of course, we need all to depend and to rely on Allah Almighty and to follow the path and the roots of the great characters and the great personalities that are always in Iran. We need to defeat our enemy. Our strength will help us all to defeat our enemy. And so many categories of our society understand this. And away from the points of differences, we need to overcome all the points of difference, and we need to make use of the great presence of the Iranian people and leaders with their different layers during this war. The social.
Okay, chat, listen, I want to listen to this, but I also feel like this translation, being a live translation, is actually not really, I'm not really getting a lot of the information. I feel like there's a little bit, you know what I mean? It's important that we get a live, we get this statement, but I feel like this version of the translation is pretty hard to parse, at least for me. Maybe I'm just a dummy. It seems to be that the important point is that they want to, get revenge, and that they're going to close the Strait of Hormuz. I feel like it's very. Am I wrong? I'm having trouble parsing what the fuck he's saying. Let's see if this.
In the last few minutes, Iranian state television has broadcast a message from the newly appointed supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. The message was read by an announcer and gave no indication as to the state of his health, which has been under question. Some reports say he was injured in that attack that killed his father and mother and other family members nearly 2 weeks ago.
That's just random Israelis saying shit. That's just random Israelis saying shit on Twitter. I mean, maybe it's true, but we don't have any actual evidence.
In the message, he said Iran would avenge the blood of its martyrs and would continue to close the key Strait of Hormuz.
Our aim is actually to fail them, to make them fail in a very regrettable way. The enemy is actually very vulnerable. They cannot actually open new fronts. And we are going to open new fronts against the enemy if deemed necessary.
The new leader, who is 56 years old, spoke about losing his family and also talked of revenge.
Thank you, Chad, for giving me the text.
And address those people who have been...
I think your VOD setting is off. It's back on, but it'll be published after the stream. It broke a couple days ago because there was some sort of DMCA content. Who fucking knows what it was? Who fucking knows what happened? What happens is the Twitch auto DMCA detector will delete hide your VOD and then turn off automatic VODs because they detect something that they think might be DMCA-able. It's very annoying.
Suffering recently in the recent days who have been harmed recently, those who have lost their loved ones, have been injured, those whose houses, whose businesses have been damaged or have...
Okay. I gotta say something about this because it's cringe and I hate seeing people post it because it's embarrassing. All explosions look like this. Large fire explosions look like this. It's not a nuclear... Just because there is a mushroom cloud seeming fireball doesn't mean it's a nuclear weapon. Nuclear weapons have an extremely bright flash that is so bright that it goes through your body. It goes through your eyelids. Okay? There is a shock wave. There is a heat wave that instantaneously ignites everything within depending on how large the weapon is, instantaneously ignites everything. There's gamma rays. Just having a fireball that appears in the shape of a mushroom cloud, that just means a large explosion occurred. It doesn't mean it's nuclear. That's a large explosion. When a nuclear explosion happens, there is immediately radioactive fallout. That fallout would be detected by observers. We would know within hours if a nuclear bomb was actually detonated because there are detectors that exist around the world looking for evidence of a radioactive event. All right, so this is a very large bomb. I'm not really sure the source of it, but I wouldn't say it's a nuclear weapon. Although we should be very, very concerned about that possibility.
Harmed. And first of all, I would like to express my condolences to the survivors, to the families of those killed and martyred. With the exception of my father, who has become so gentle, who's lost my wife, my dear wife, and my dear sister, who was always serving her parents and who was rewarded this way spiritually, and also her child, and also my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, they have joined the ranks of the martyrs. And what has actually made it possible for me to have the patience is actually the promise of God.
I said, I hate this translation, and then we immediately get into a translation. I hate the way that this is being read. All right, hold on. I'm hearing clipping in my audio, so let me fix this really quick. Fucking killing me, man. The translator is not the best. Let's just put it that way.
As a duty that has to be carried out by all the responsible agencies of the government, they should.
Am I insane? Is there popping or is it just me?
From their duties and report to me.
Well, those the apparent words of the new Supreme.
Oh God, there is. Okay, so it was. Oh Jesus Christ, the audio is also dog shit. I thought it was my audio.
Leader being spoken by
now it's clear.
Iranian state television presenter and translated for us. Let's cross live now to BBC Persian. Baron, let's talk first of all about the fact that we don't see the Supreme Leader in this statement. We don't hear his voice. How do we know this is really him?
We don't, and there are speculations that it might not have been the Supreme Leader, the new Supreme Leader. We know that he was injured in the attack that killed his father and some of his family members, and that he is probably in the hospital. The Israelis have said that he was injured in the attack, but it was not life-threatening. But we don't know the state of his health, and it is very much likely that the statement was not written by him. But he's a very reclusive figure. He's been an enigma for decades. And he has not made a speech before he was named the Supreme Leader. He'd never done an interview. So he might not be as present in the public eye as his father was, who was a president before he became the Supreme Leader. But if the statement was made by him, it just shows the continuation of his father's policies, and he talks about revenge. And there was speculation that he was actually be fueled by revenge, since his father, his mother, his wife, and some other family members of him were killed in the attack. That
I mean, I don't doubt that's what's being said. I don't doubt that's what's being said. Like, just be logical here. If you're the Iranian regime and you're trying to get the entire country to rally around you, of course you use the atrocities that the United States has done. Of course you're going to appeal to the emotions of the humiliation of being attacked. Of course you're going to rally people to fight with the sense of honor and the sense of shame that could come from being abused. Hey, chat, Six has found the snake. He's become aware of the snake. He's like looking at the snake container like this. Oh, no, 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 no.
On the first day of the war. And but his statement was a message of defiance and confidence. He told the regional countries that they need to close the American bases in their...
I miss Wide Mike. Wide Mike was fake. This is true Mike. I'm sorry, I'm skinny Mike. I'm not Wide Mike. Wide Mike was never real. I'm sorry. This is real Mike. He didn't even narrower Mike. No, I'm sorry, but this is the actual Mike. True Mike is fake Mike, and Wide Mike is real Mike. I reject skinny Mike. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are more comfortable with Wide Mike. I've noticed that. You were happier when you were wider. Okay, I'm not Ethan Klein, okay? I'm not Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein is just not the same because he's hungry. He just needs a Snickers, bro. I saw the funniest... Can we make fun of Ethan Klein for 1 minute? This is not related to anything that we're doing. But I saw a clip of AB where he said that he liked the Cybertruck, and then Ethan Klein said it's douchey, and AB then goes, yeah, I hate the Cybertruck, it's douchey, like instantly. It was the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. Like 100% just pure cuck. Somebody wants to find me that clip. It is, I'll show it because it's very funny. First of all, liking a Cybertruck, what's wrong with you? They've been hideous since day one. And I'm a DeLorean enjoyer. I think the DeLorean looks cool as fuck. The Cybertruck looks like shit. Here's the clip. Oh, hell yeah, chatter. Oh, hell yeah, chatter.
Oh, I have unfortunate news to you guys, but Sonny loves the Cybertruck.
Listen, he's a bit. I mean, a lot of people like how it looks. I like how it looks. A lot of 2-year-olds.
I like how it looks. So inside the brain of a sycophant, Ethan Klein was saying that his child, I think, or I don't know who Sonny is, to be honest. Somebody related to Ethan Klein likes the Cybertruck. So AB, trying to ingratiate himself with Ethan, jumps in to say how amazing the Cybertruck is, right? I like how it looks.
World's probably like it.
To my taste, but I can understand why people think it looks cool.
Yeah,
but it's just not. It's just not a good.
To me, it's like a douche-mobile. Like when I see that, I'm like, the person driving that is a fucking loser.
Yeah.
Unironically, Ethan's right on here. Ethan with, oh God, the worst person in the world just had a take I agree with. No!
Used to like it, but now, yeah, I just associate it with douche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have unfortunate news to you guys, but Sunny
If you want to know why people call him absent backbone, there it is. Within 10 seconds, like, holy fuck, man. Come on, dude. Stand your ground for 5 seconds, man.
And also
back to the real news.
said that the Strait of Hormuz will continue to be closed. So
Ethan would have said the opposite of AB because he's just humiliating him. Yeah, I mean, Ethan Klein likes humiliating AB because he groomed AB to be a sycophant and his baby worm since he was, what, 18 or something? And so AB literally cannot imagine a life without Ethan Klein. So Ethan Klein knows that, and so he ritualistically humiliates AB. In fact, I think when Ethan starts laying more people off, he'll fire Dan before he fires AB. I think AB will be the last employee because he's the one that they enjoy torturing and making fun of the most and blaming for everything. And he is the least able to stand up for himself.
it seems to be what everyone had expected, that he will carry on the policies of his father.
Absolutely, Baron. And he also talked to the Gulf nation.
AB humiliated himself the other day when he reacted to a video of you and had literally nothing intelligent to say. Thank you, Vio, for watching it for us. It was hilarious. I did see that. And the thing that I would mention is AB's argument. He was watching my takes about how, you know, it's reasonable for people to want to know what content creators think about, like, Trump, especially if they're associated with somebody like Asmongold. And he was basically arguing that if you make money by being a right-wing grifter, it's actually wrong to ask that person not to be a right-wing grifter. In fact, I'm the problem because I'm saying that being a right-wing grifter is bad. And I shouldn't hold anybody to account. That's AB's belief.
About all the attacks we've seen recently. He said that Iran is only attacking US bases in those states, and we know that is not true. We've all seen the pictures of missiles and drones hitting airports and residential buildings. He also talked about wanting reparations for damages done within Iran as well. What do you make of the way in which he spoke about these Gulf states? He talked about it being Ramadan and about the way in which they treat Iran. It felt to me like he's not really holding out an olive branch to his Gulf neighbors, but he is trying to explain himself a little more.
No, and this is what other officials in Iran have been saying over the past few days, that we are not actually attacking Persian Gulf states, but we're attacking the American and Israeli assets in the region. But yesterday, when a branch of Iranian bank was attacked in Iran by the Israelis, then the Iranian foreign minister warned banks in the regional countries that they will be attacked and that people should stay away from them. So it is, as I said, the continuation of what others have been saying. We haven't really seen anything new in his statement. Everything that was said, the message of defiance, the message of carrying on with the military retaliation, have been said by the previous Iranian officials. And it seems that he's either a figurehead and that all the state affairs are at the moment, at least, being run by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and that the running of the country is in the hands of the armed forces rather than the civilian leadership. Or he's just going to take some time, at least, to consolidate his position in the country and to find his footing.
Baron, good to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed. Baron Abbasi there from the Persian service.
Oil prices have risen, at one point hitting $100 a barrel.
Mike, did you see that Clyburn is running again? He's 85. Wow. I didn't realize we had racists in the chat. A black man wants to run in his gerrymandered district so he can take donations from Donald Trump's billionaire supporters? How dare you question him? He's 85 years young.
again as attacks on shipping continue in the Middle East. And despite dozens of countries announcing they would release record amounts of emergency reserves. Well, in the latest attacks, 2 tankers were hit near Iraq. The Iraqi news agency reports 38 crew members were rescued and 1 person has died. One other ship, a container carrier, was struck off the coast of the United Arab Emirates, close to the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump has said that the US would look strongly at the Strait, which is a transit point for around 20% of the world's oil.
By the way, look at the difference between last year and this year and the Strait of Hormuz.
You can see here how the flow of traffic has ground to a halt since the conflict began. Well, the Israeli military says it has carried out an extensive wave of airstrikes on the Iranian capital, Tehran, in what it calls a new stage of the war. Israel also says it has stepped up strikes on the Lebanese capital Beirut and targets associated with the Iranian-backed Hezbollah. There have been a series of nighttime explosions in the city's southern suburbs. Some airstrikes also hit other parts of Beirut, including along the city's seafront. This is the scene over Beirut right now. Lebanese authorities say Israeli strikes.
Like, the plan to fight the United States is not to fly fucking cargo planes around. Like, it's just the United States of America trying to get TikTok clips. That's basically all it is. It's crazy. There is no feeling that the Islamic Republic's regime's hold on power has been affected in any way. If anything, it's been strengthened by a rally around the flag effect.
Have killed more than 600 people in 10 days. Whilst Iran has continued its missile attacks on neighbouring states, this high-rise tower in Dubai has sustained some visible damage. The local government said a drone fell on a building. It's not clear where the reported drone came from. Well, we are joined by a number of our correspondents around the region. We begin, though, first with our Asia business reporter, Nick Marsh, who is in Singapore. Nick, just tell us about the market reaction.
Yeah, well, the price of oil has eased slightly in the past few hours, especially compared to this morning's trade in Asia, where it really shot up, like you say, over $100 a barrel. And this was interesting because it happened not long after we saw the largest ever release of stockpiles around the world. The International Energy Agency saying they'd release 40 million barrels, trying to increase that supply, get the price of oil down. But it seems like traders have taken a look at the situation on the ground as things stand. They've looked at all those attacks that you were talking about, those 2 tankers in Iraqi waters, quite far away from the Strait of Hormuz, and they're concluding that this situation is going to be going on for quite some time. 40 million barrels, by the way, that's roughly equivalent to about 3 weeks worth of oil that would normally go through the Strait of Hormuz. So if you're making the calculation, you're thinking that this crisis is going to go on for longer than 3 weeks, then that's reflected in how the price of oil has gone up now.
And can you give us an indication as to how this is being felt by the public in various parts of Asia? We have seen some worry, haven't they, by consumers, by members of the public worried about fuel supplies.
Well, look, Asia is a massive importer of Middle Eastern oil and gas. I mean, 90% of what transited through the Strait of Hormuz last year was bound for Asia. So you've got the big economies like South Korea, Japan, China, of course. You know, they need that to heat their homes and to power all their, big factories and things like that. They do have pretty big stockpiles. So in the short term, they're doing okay. We have seen things like price caps being introduced in South Korea and Japan. But here in Southeast Asia, particularly in the poorer countries, those stockpiles are much, much smaller.
Uh-oh. There's an active shooter in Michigan. Someone crashed a car into the synagogue and started shooting. Is this true? Or is this fake? I'm looking into it right now. Oh, okay. Well, according to the Detroit Free Press, which is a reliable source, active shooter alert at Temple Israel and West Bloomfield, police say. Yeah. Only a matter of time before stuff like this started to happen. Looks like there may be some damage inside the temple. Smoke is billowing out at one of the vents. Large police response.
Metro Detroit are being told, lock your doors. At this point, we don't know exactly what's going on. We don't know exactly what's happening. So we don't know if Temple Israel was targeted just based on the people that may have worked there, or if this is a hate crime. And if this is a hate crime, that could be targeting other synagogues within our area. Heather, as you mentioned, our political climate right now is just so intense.
It's so fraught. It's so fraught, and unfortunately the divisions just continue to grow, and we've just seen this, situation with a lot of religious hate happening. We saw it with the church attack in Genesee County, and now we have a potential attack. Well, we have some kind of attack on this. We don't know the motivation behind it. Yes. We have an attack here on Temple Israel. So, this is just a long-time, long-standing religious institution in our community, and as you said, it's a very, well-attended, very popular place. They have an education system here. They've got their early childhood. We've got some crews on the scene, and we're going to be trying to get to them as soon as we can. Obviously, what happens with these situations is because law enforcement is to close down roads and close down, so that they can do their job. It's always tough to get close, get information, but our reporters are excellent at what they do, and they're going to try to get as close as they can and to try to give us a sense of what they're learning on the ground. Again, law enforcement can't really communicate that much with us yet because
I think in general, whenever there's some sort of active shooting in America, the reality is that it's probably not a false flag. It's just somebody who had a schizo episode and grabbed a weapon and went and took it out on a group of people, and yes, there's a lot of weird politics happening. Yes, I don't know enough about this synagogue, this group, to tell you if they have any connection whatsoever to Israel. I don't know if there was some event with Israeli settlers or this is a completely anti-Netanyahu synagogue. We don't know any of that information, right? And it doesn't really help us to speculate wildly until we get more of that information. Would the CIA activating a mentally unwell person be considered a false flag? I would say so, yes, but we need to have evidence for that. Reform Judaism is what someone in their reviews for the temple described it. I don't know what that means. Reform Judaism is some of the most left-wing Judaism there is. So there's Reconstructionist Judaism. That's basically the equivalent of like a Unitarianism. That's the very left wing. Reform Judaism has some Zionism, some like liberal Zionism, some anti-Zionism. So they typically, many Reform Jews don't even keep kosher. Some do. It's sort of like kind of left-leaning Judaism in general, but there are some liberal Zionists, and so it's hard to say based on that alone. We are the nation's largest Reform synagogue. Okay, Reform has been even more Zionist than conservative in my area recently. It depends on what you mean by conservative. I think every conservative synagogue is extremely Zionist that I've ever encountered.
No, I would like to give you the opportunity to respond.
Go on.
No, I would like you to respond. What is funny about people being kidnapped from their cars and from work?
Move on. I'd like to continue.
No, that's insane. So the apathy is clear. I want to continue this by bringing Gene Wilson Brutus into the space, which is a New Jersey resident who died in.
Mike, did you see that Congress is looking to eliminate anonymity online? Bipartisan, by the way, Intercept reported. Oh, yeah. I mean, they hate the fact that people can have opinions online. They don't want you to be able to have opinions without being able to get you fired for your job. They want to make sure that you have no private spaces. You have no spaces where you can exist and entertain ideas and have debates and be unhinged. All right, let's take a look. So we have an active shooting in Michigan. See if we could find. I don't really want to watch Fox News
the active
coverage.
Shooting incident beginning at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, under 1 hour ago. We are still. This is still being described as an active shooter situation. An alert has gone out there in Bloomfield, Michigan. The state police is asking for the community members there to stay away from the area to allow the police to respond. Troopers are also increasing patrols at other places of worship in this district. The address there describes Temple Israel, which, according to their website, describes themselves as the nation's largest Reform synagogue. On their website. But again, the police are on the scene. You're looking live West Bloomfield Township Michigan. We've got Bill Daly on the phone. Bill, we're just starting to get some early details here, but it appears an active shooter situation, sadly, at a synagogue there in Michigan.
Yes, Sandra, and certainly by the looks of it, a massive police response. So, went to show where.
So it looks like Temple Israel is very supportive of Israel. They have an Israeli flag in there. So obviously, this would not justify any kind of violent attack. But I'm on their website. It does appear that they have a pro-Israel stance. Temple Israel for Israel. They do voyages to Israel. Temple Israel invites adults of our community for an exclusive screening of Oscar-contending film October Hate from executive producer Deborah Messing and Emmy Award-winning filmmaker Wendy Sachs. It's a searing documentary about the explosion of anti-Semitism on college campuses, social media, and on the streets of America after October 7th. So I would say that this is a very pro-Zionist synagogue. So, I'm not saying that it is definitely a motivation for the attack because we don't know yet, but it is certainly a plausibility. And the most important thing to understand, chat, is that what random violence doesn't accomplish a political goal. Even if you are opposed to Israel, even if you vehemently disagree with these people, driving a car and randomly shooting the synagogue up is not going to accomplish the long-term goal of, if you want to oppose Israel, you need to oppose Israel in the halls of Congress, in the American state. We need to be making demands and protests and building organizations. These kind of random acts of violence only, they make the anti-Israel movement look bad. It doesn't motivate more people to stand up to Israel. On the contrary, it gives the pro-Israel movement succor. Hello, YouTube, you good? YouTube, you good?
For so much joy, wedding.
And bustling temple with people coming and going at all hours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Temple Israel is known, throughout the country and probably in Israel and around the world.
Netanyahu sees this shit and gets excited because he's like, aha, see, this is why we need Israel.
Now, as we go back to live pictures, this is our Fox 2 chopper here, our chopper shot. You can see live pictures of smoke still coming out of the building. Earlier,
I might be watching I don't know, I'm seeing a different picture, but I have not seen that yet. Wow. Oh my gosh.
You might be on a delay as live TV happens, how it happens, Carolyn. We appreciate you taking the time, and maybe stay with us for a second, but we did see a large presence of people walking. You can see right there on the street. I'm not sure if that's Walled Lake Road, just east of Drake, maybe where they are.
That would be Walnut Lake Road.
Walnut Lake Road, yeah. And you can see a huge police presence walking from there.
And that huge police.
Now I see that.
The presence, by the way, I just heard from my sister who works in West Bloomfield, and she works at Orchard Lake and Walnut Lake, which is, as the crow flies, probably half a mile from Temple Israel.
Okay.
And she said that her work is also under lockdown right now.
So the complete area is under lockdown.
It looks like that whole area is under lockdown. As you take a live look at some of the, that's FBI?
Yeah, everybody's on the scene. We've seen FBI, we've seen local police, we've seen also the sheriff's department cars coming through. And as we're looking at this person prepare, he has his long gun. He is preparing ammo and everything, preparing to go. And when this is happening, it means that the situation is ongoing as he gears up. And we don't know exactly what is in that building yet. We are told it's an active shooter. There have been reports of
Did you see what I sent you?
At entrance 5. But as you can see, that there are a huge police presence and federal presence as well on scene in West Bloomfield at a Jewish synagogue, as the eyes of the nation are probably turning right here to Michigan as this unfolds.
Carolyn, I want you to hold tight and listen to this for a second, because we're getting information that parents are now trying to come to the scene and pick up their children, their loved.
I mean, there really isn't anything we can do but speculate. We don't know, who the shooter is, and if we're honest, there's a lot of people that probably feel motivated or hatred toward symbols of Israel. And I'm shocked there haven't been more of these, to be quite honest with you. You know, there was that assassination attempt a couple years ago toward the 2 Israel embassy workers who ultimately perished. But for the most part, there hasn't been many acts of violence toward Israel. And now with the Iran war happening, you know, according to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, it's because Israel forced us into it. You know, I imagine that violence like this was inevitable. You know, 160 children killed. Donald Trump won't even apologize in Iran. It seems to me that like structures or institutions that are seen as pro-Israel, there's going to be random acts of violence against them. And this is what we talk about when we're saying that, you know, supporting Israel's genocide, not pushing back, allowing people to violate international law. That is what foments anti-Semitism. That's what foments social discord. And stuff like this is going to happen more and more.
Beautiful people. And I don't just mean physically beautiful. I mean spiritually beautiful rabbis and clergy and camp and staff who care so much about one another and about the world at large.
Carolyn,
and I just can't believe what I'm looking at.
It is hard to believe as we all live through this together. I do want to ask, we're getting a report that parents are trying to get to this scene. Is there a school in this facility? Is there, would there be kids in the facility on a Thursday afternoon that you may know of any function that would happen at the synagogue? And I know I'm putting you on the spot, but you are closer to the synagogue than I am and closer to that area. But I don't know if there is a school on that property, a daycare on that property inside of there as well.
Well, there is a preschool. And again, I don't know the hours of that preschool, but I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Carolyn, if I could jump in, because this is something that I was kind of digging into, because I think that this is a massive part of this story. Yes, as far as what their website shows, there is childcare happening right now. They have a childcare program, an early childhood program, and a kindergarten program. There are 2 different times. One of them goes from 9 a.m. till noon. That would have ended maybe slightly before the incident, but there's another one that goes from 9 a.m. till 2:30 p.m. So 2:30 in the afternoon. That is a Monday through Friday program for an early childhood center for childcare. And I imagine that some of those reports that we are getting right now of parents rushing to the scene are probably parents of those kids that are still there in that program.
So I'm sure, and can you only imagine the fear that those parents are feeling right now? Oh my gosh.
Okay, Carolyn, we're going to say goodbye to you for the moment. Thank you so much for calling in and sharing with us your perspective. It was incredibly impactful as we continue to watch this unfold. We're now going to bring in Mike Harville, who is a security coordinator at Kensington Church. Mike, are you here with me? We're going to give Mike a few seconds to connect.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So you're a security coordinator at Kensington Church. If you've had a chance to look at our live pictures, we have seemingly every agency on the scene. We've seen police, we've seen FBI, we have fire crews on the scene. There's smoke billowing from the building in 3 different places. Word of a car. I do believe we just got to look at the car into the building. And Michigan State Police are now saying that there is or was an active shooter situation as well. So with your security expertise, what do you believe would be the process to secure the scene, and what do you think is happening right now on the ground?
Well, from what I've been able to see, because I've been watching your live feed, they're going to be securing the entire building and making sure they get everybody out safely. They're going to be going through, making sure that they've stopped any possible threats. If there's anybody else in there that could be a threat, they're going to want to make sure that that's been stopped. And then they're going to look for any wounded and then make sure all the wounded get treated. Right now, we don't know if...
You can... Listen, I don't want anybody to be killed, you know? I don't want anyone to be killed. But it does appear that this is a very, and there's no but to the not wanting anyone to be killed. I'm just saying that in the context of what we're looking at, this is one of the largest like pro-Zionist congregations. And so you could see why. I mean, to me, it's straightforward that this is an anti-Semitic attack or an anti-Israel attack. And we're going to find out exactly who did it and why shortly. But, you know, it's stuff like this doesn't surprise me. And I'm sure that this synagogue had strong security, right? Like,
the best way for a child to leave in a situation like that is with their parents. So if they've secured the building, they feel that there is no longer a threat, then checking the parents, allowing them in to get their kids and get them out of there is probably what they're working on right now.
Mike, I'm curious how your job
has the
has
shooter
changed.
been neutralized?
From your perspective, can you go deeper and just explain how has that change affected your line of work? What do you see? I mean, it's not just fear of Iran and what's happening. There's been a rise in white supremacy as well here in the U.S. So when it comes to counterterrorism, there are so many different elements now, it seems, you have to look at. It's not necessarily just attacks from other countries. It's right here at home.
Certainly, and the biggest concern is not a group of Iranians who snuck in. That is a concern. That
are there Nazi? Are there people that are in favor of the attacks in chat? Just point them out to me so I can ban people, because we don't want anyone to think that our community is in favor of random acts of violence. That would be crazy, and that would imperil the community and the stream, and that would give the Zionists talking points against us. That would be awful.
whether they have some mental instability or they just have completely subscribed.
I mean, listen, we have some of the highest views on the entire platform. So random Nazis, you know, they're going to wander in. We just need to make sure that we need to make sure that we're banning people who are like that. This dude, all right, hold on. Let me take a look. Okay, what did this dummy say? He said, I mean, that guy didn't even really say anything. I don't know why you guys are all yelling at that guy. He didn't even say anything. The guy didn't even say anything. I would ban him, but he didn't even say anything.
Part of it is the internet and social media. It's very easy now to find people who think like you, who have the same problems that you do. It's easy to radicalize these susceptible people by in effect, the best word to use is grooming them into this using the internet. Now, it used to be very difficult for these these terrorists and supremacists and other groups to recruit. But now you can do it by the people who have a proclivity toward violence might actually find you. And, you know, we saw this. We've seen this a number of different times, from radical extremists who throw, homemade bombs into crowds, to of how online we all are, and how we can find people who think like we do online, even if those people are the worst of the worst.
Here at Fox 2, we've made a commitment to not share the names of people who participate in mass shootings or try to create violence and panic in our communities. Do you find that notoriety is what some of these people are chasing, or is it just about the violence and hate?
No, I think that your policy is wise. I have the same policy in a weekly newsletter that I produce. I don't ever say the names of these people. Part of what can activate someone is that narcissism and hubris, that pride, that want to be famous. We see that a lot in the unhinged people who go on shooting sprees in schools. They want to be known. They leave manifestos. One of the strongest actions that can be taken is to leave them in the dustbin to history. Their names aren't known. That can help to deflect some people who might want to be famous and feel like maybe I won't. And that might be why you see people leave these manifestos and make sure their names, because they want their names to be known. So I think that is a good policy, not to publish the names of these kind of people.
All right, Eric O'Neill, this is Lee Thomas. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. You're former FBI counter-terrorism and counterintelligence operative. We appreciate your insight on this, what is unfortunate and groundbreaking event that's happening in our own backyard. Thank you so much, Eric O'Neill. We do want to get some more information before we go to our next expert.
Media doing more speculation. That's all they do these days.
This is great news. No one was hurt as of now. That is what we are told was said by Oakland County Sheriff Michael Bouchard. No one is hurt as of now. And multiple other reports from the scene are coming in about the crash that was there, about it still being an active scene. If the shooter is still on scene or not, we'll get all of that confirmed. But right now we need to go to Steve Dolan, who is Assistant Chief at Detroit Police Department. He is on with us now. Steve.
Can you explain why chatters are saying false flag? Let's just say that Israel has committed a lot of verifiable false flags during geopolitical conflicts to try. So it is a reasonable hypothesis, although I think that you should wait for some confirmatory information before you lead with that idea. You know what I mean?
Protocols go into place when something like this happens nearby.
Well, you know, those in the suburbs, there's synagogues in Detroit, one main one downtown, and there's someone right on the periphery of the city. I would think at this point, every police department is sending a special attention to the synagogues, or at least talking to the rabbis in charge of the synagogues, and not just the synagogues, because like if I'm in Dearborn, I'm checking out the mosques in case there's a retaliatory effort by someone else who is anti-Islamic. So the mosques and the synagogues are on special attention. I'm sure all the police departments have been made aware of this. Everyone's on high alert. I mean, the war in Iran has got everyone on high alert. And now, and again, we don't know this individual. He had mental issues, he or she had mental issues who did this, but they definitely were trying to get mass destruction and mass casualties.
Steve, I want you to hear this information just coming into our newsroom and get your perspective as the former assistant chief. Car crash into the building. This information, by the way, coming from Temple's Communications. Car crash into the building. Police shot driver. It's unclear the driver's condition right now. Car caught on fire, which is why the fire trucks are there. All kids have been evacuated and are at Shenandoah.
Okay, he's been shot. Is he in custody?
That information we don't have yet, right?
Exactly. We don't have that yet. Was there only one suspect? This is very similar to what happened in Grand Blanc. Didn't someone drive to the front door? Yep, of a church. So is it a copycat? Is it someone who has mental issues? Again, and you can have all the security you want in the world, but if I want to get through, and I don't care about my life, I'm getting through. I don't know if there are cement bollards in front of the synagogue or not. I do know that there's kids there, little kids there, and if you're going to make a statement, unfortunately, nothing's worse than, we've seen the bombing in Iran where 170 kids died.
Yes.
This could be retaliation for that. You don't know what's going through people's minds, and Steve, the parents are terrified. Go ahead.
On that note, and this might put some parents' minds at ease a little bit, but we can confirm that the kids and the teachers are safe. There was a message sent to the community members confirming that all of the kids and the teachers that were in the early childhood center are safe and accounted for.
And that's good news from the physical aspect. But what's this going to do to these kids psychologically, mentally? I mean, these kids are little. It's ridiculous that we have to have these drills for these little kids, to run and hide, run and hide. And the parents are traumatized. You can tell me till the cows come home, hey, your daughter's fine, your son's fine. I'm a parent, and I'm concerned about my kids. I gotta get to my kid. And unfortunately, we can't let any parents in because we don't. What I'm understanding is he or she's not in custody yet. So you've got the high school kids at West Bloomfield. They're in lockdown. Some of them might think, what's the big deal? But these other kids are all being traumatized, as are the teachers, as are the parents, and actually, as is law enforcement, because they don't know what they're going to walk into.
I want to talk to you more about that, because I've been with you on many scenes. You've done so much in your career, certainly. So you've seen it all, it seems. And there's got to be so many different how do you compartmentalize is my question, because you have parents who don't care what anyone has to say. I'm going to get my children. I'm going to make sure that my children are safe, right? But then you still have this protocol that you have to follow. You have to make sure the scene is cleared. You have to make sure that there's no danger in any other parts of the building. So how are you able to navigate all of these different things that are coming at you once as an officer on a scene like this?
It's hard. You have unified command, and you have people stationed on the outside going in. I remember years ago I had 2 little kids who were basically assassinated in a dope house. And, you know, I was there and I was in charge, middle of the night, and people showed up that had to see these little kids. I said, you can't go in. And I was actually caught on camera fighting with the grandfather. I said, you can't go in there because it's not secure yet. Yeah. It's hard. I get what they're going through. I do. I do, but we have to make sure there's no other injuries. We have to make sure you're safe. You know, these kids are traumatized, and they're going to have people out there, you know.
So is there any report? Like, I see a massive police response. Was like, what happened? Was there actually a shooting? Was there, like, we don't even have any information other than we have a large police presence and we have some black smoke coming out of a roof vent. I mean, obviously we'll pay attention to this. He drove a car to the building and cops shot him. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, you know, being one of the largest synagogues in the country, this definitely had armed security. What if this is a case of a car losing control and somebody was shot? That would be terrible, right? Police called into an active shooting. Okay, shooter is dead is what is now what's being reported. Is a video player? The fuck? Okay. Michigan State Police said an active shooting incident happened early March 12th. A truck intentionally crashed into the building and then caught fire. It appears at least one individual came to the temple. Security saw him, engaged in gunfire. So somebody drove their SUV into the building and got shot. That's the shooting? Let there be as much outrage from politicians in Washington when kids go hungry as there are when I break bread with New Yorkers. So I don't even really think you can call this an active shooting unless you're saying security shooting a guy for crashing his car is an active shooting. I mean, I guess technically that is an active shooting for the but like, I don't know about that. Okay, well, breaking news, chat. That's what it looks like. Meanwhile, in the Gulf,
Iran is turning the waters here into a weapon, targeting oil tankers. Iran 50 miles that way, Straits of Hormuz a couple of 100 miles that way. Tankers just off the coast of Kuwait, off the coast of Iraq, at the northern end of the Persian Gulf. 2 tankers set on fire there. In the Strait of Hormuz, Iran increasingly targeting shipping there. A number of ships hit overnight, another during the day. Iran is trying to drive up the price of oil. If oil can't get from here,
there was an actual shooting this morning, but it's not getting as much coverage. I wonder why. A gunman opened fire at Cosset Hall at approximately 10:50. So there was an Army ROTC got shot. That means Reserve Officer Training Corps.
It can't get to the international markets. 20% of the global oil travels through the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran is intentionally targeting that.
Did I say 3 oil tankers struck off coast? Of coast. Oh, sorry, off coast. Off coast. I forgot an F. Thank you. By the way, look at this
Hormuz,
shit.
And Iran is intentionally targeting.
Look at this. Look at this damage. I don't know why this video player is this dog shit, but look at that.
That economic lifeline for the global economy, and it's not just doing it by missiles, it's doing it by explosives. Iran has a tried and tested system of exerting economic influence across the world. Right now it is far higher, reaching a peak far greater than Iran has ever exerted before. This is an international crisis in the making on the waters here, because Iran has turned the waters into a war field. Ships, tankers out here are effectively sitting ducks. This is a hot war. The global economy is at stake. This sea right behind me, that's the front line in this war.
CNN just published a report which basically concludes That the United States was responsible for the bombing without a shadow of a doubt.
That deadly strike on an Iranian school that killed at least 168 children and 14 teachers. Two sources briefed on the preliminary findings of an ongoing military investigation tell CNN the U.S. military accidentally hit the school. The sources say the mistake likely occurred because of outdated information about a nearby Iranian naval base. Joining us now, CNN State Department reporter Jennifer Hansler. Jennifer, I want to start with you. What more did this initial investigation find?
Well, Wolf, according to these two sources who were briefed on that preliminary finding of the ongoing investigation, U.S. Central Command had used this outdated intelligence from the Defense Intelligence Agency to compile the strike coordinates for this deadly strike. Now, these strikes happened on February 28th when they were targeting an IRGC base in Manab, Iran. However, back in 2013, the base and the school were all part of one compound, according to satellite images. 3 years later, images showed that a fence had been constructed to separate the school from the base. And fast forward, Wolf, to December 2025, there was imaging of school children, people milling about a courtyard, potentially playing in that courtyard. Now, the Defense Intelligence Agency said that there was an investigation ongoing. They would not comment further than that. U.S. Central Command pointed to that ongoing investigation. But Wolf, all of this supporting the growing evidence that the U.S. was behind that deadly strike on the school that killed some 180 civilians, including those 168 school children. And there are growing questions now as to why that outdated intelligence was used to compile these coordinates. There is a group of Democratic senators who have pressed the Defense Department for answers on this, but this is an incredibly costly error in terms of civilian lives if it does play out in that final investigation that the U.S. was responsible for this, Wolf.
All right, Jennifer Hansler at the State Department, thank you very, very much.
The preliminary findings of the U.S. military's investigation into that strike on a girls' school in Iran, which blames American targeters who sources tell us likely used outdated information about a nearby naval base accidentally hitting the school. You can see on this aerial photo how close the school is to the military facility. 168 children, 14 teachers were killed, according to the Iranian state media.
The United States of America has elementary schools on their bases. That's just not relevant. That's just not relevant. If you bomb a child's school, which is a separate building, you are responsible for that war crime. And if they're using really old information, that is a lack of due diligence. Mamdani is publicly shaming bad landlords. Oh, hell yeah. God, that's so cool.
CNN's Kristen Holmes asked the president about it.
A new report says the military investigation has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about it. You'll recall he's not always been so reticent.
Mr. President, did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 170?
No, in my opinion, and based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
Israel has killed 50,000 children at least. Like, can we just stop with this? You guys killed 168 kids. You're a fucking child murderer. And you did it for no reason. Well, you did it because you thought you'd be able to steal the oil and everything would be a-okay. I mean, if I'm Iran, and I've been saying this before, just put on the hat. Pretend you are an Iranian military official or leader right now. What are the incentives that can damage Donald Trump? The answer is making the stock market crash. So every single thing, if I'm Iran, every single thing I'm doing is focused on making that stock market crash. Because the moment the stock market crashes, Donald Trump's political career is toast. He's only being propped up by billionaires. And the moment the billionaires start seeing their bottom lines hurt, that's when they're going to start screaming. You got to hit them where it hurts.
We think it was done by Iran because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
You'll notice the Secretary of Defense, what he calls the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, did not confirm what the president said, that it wasn't the U.S. He just said it's being investigated and that Iran targets civilians. That is the president on March 7th. 2 days later, when it became clear a Tomahawk cruise missile had hit the school, the president claimed that Iran had them as well, which is apparently not true.
What do you make of the fact that it was potentially based on outdated information? Is that normal?
Unfortunately, it has happened before. I was working on the Balkans at CIA when there were parts of our team that provided the information that led to the erroneous strike of the Chinese embassy.
The U.S. is 150% in the wrong for starting this war. It shouldn't even be happening. I also think that no country should build military bases anywhere near schools. Unfortunately, that's just not how the world, like, there's only so many places for things to happen, right? And Israel routinely builds their infrastructure near schools. The United States of America has multiple schools on its bases. I'll give you an example. If you go to Yokota Air Base, which is one of America's occupation bases of Japan, there are 14,000 U.S. forces stationed in Yokota Air Base. They have multiple ICE? What the fuck is this? Okay, interactive consumer evaluation. Okay. I was like, what the fuck? They have an elementary school. They have a middle school. They have two elementary schools, and they have a high school. These schools exist so the military personnel can have their kids go to school while they work their job on the base. I'm sure it's the same in Iran. That's exactly right. So the United States of America has multiple schools on base in Yokota, one of America's occupation bases in Japan. If there were a war over, say, Taiwan, if for some reason America decided, never mind. If for some reason there was a war over Taiwan, this base would be struck by rockets, by missiles from China. There's no doubt about it. And I don't think any American would be like, yay, children are being, it's justifiable. No, it's not justifiable.
In Belgrade, right? People were just devastated by that.
Like the school symbol of the panda with the samurai helmet on. You guys know why I know about this school? Do I know about this? Because I went to one of these schools. I lived here. Plattner from PA. Yeah. When I was a small child, I lived in Japan. I lived in West Tokyo, which is where Yokota Air Base is. Okay, this is... Fuck. What the fuck? Like, why the fuck are you... There we go. We found it. Here's Tokyo. And this is Yokota Air Base, West Tokyo. U.S. Air Base, Yokota, Japan. There's another base right over here. Where is it? Where the fuck is it? Can't remember. It's around here somewhere. It's Yokosuka? Okay, yeah. Where the hell is it? Where the fuck is it? Let me find it anywhere before we find it. It's it's the center of the screen. Okay, whatever. The point that I'm making is anybody say like, oh my God, the schools were too close to that base, therefore it's not our fault for bombing it, is fucking unhinged. Hassan was a small Okinawan boy.
Hawaii. And also surprisingly doesn't eat seafood unless it's like cooked seafood. He does this thing where he closes his eyes and imagines himself as an 8-year-old boy on the seaside in Japan.
An 8-year-old Japanese boy.
An 8-year-old
on
Japanese
the seaside.
boy.
What the fuck?
And that his Japanese parents are making him try seafood for the first time ever. Yeah, in a bento box.
There is no fucking way that a Japanese child could make it to 8 years old before trying the seafood. They get that shit when they're 3 or 2. Like, what are you saying? There's no such thing as I don't eat seafood in Japan. We've got plot holes here.
His mom made, so he would just close his eyes and say like sumimasen. Arigatou gozaimasu. And then he would eat it, and he would appreciate it that way, or at least that would give him the courage to try it. So then I did that. I imagined myself as an 8-year-old Japanese boy in the seaside.
And guess what? He enjoyed
Okinawa,
it. You liked
Okinawa,
it too.
Okinawa Prefecture. I've learned at an early age that I don't trust the American military. Okay, I have more of a backstory. American imperialism, goddamn them, because of a traffic accident that my mom got into with a drunken Marine, that the Japanese government unfortunately was not able to prosecute because the American government interfered.
In Japan?
Yeah. So every time I close my eyes, I can try seafood, and also I say "goddamn American Empire," you know, like, but in a Japanese accent.
That
As an 8-year-old boy in the Okinawa prefecture of seaside.
Don't do that last part.
Perhaps.
I've heard that the Okinawan Japanese is like, it's like southern redneck Japanese. Like if you heard someone with an Okinawan accent in Japanese, it's like, it's the same thing as like the hillbilly accent. Kind of, not really. They have their own language, sort of. That is Osaka Japanese. Oh, Okinawa doesn't belong to Japan. I mean, we're going to get into all sorts of indigenous. I support self-determination for Okinawa. I am not going to make any kind of snide comments. Arm Okinawan separatism immediately. Fuck, I can't help myself. All right, back to the U.S. brutally bombing children.
But they were using old maps. But, you know, back then in the 90s, we didn't have Google Earth. We didn't have AI. And so the idea here that we're hearing is that DIA, which would have responsibility for doing this, did not update that target list. They had old information. So you can imagine at the beginning of this war how quickly it went and how that information that we were going to do this came down very, very quickly to the operational level. And we've hit 5,000 targets, I think is the last I've heard, to update the target packages. Some of these packages like where you have the imagery and you determine this is something worth striking, these can be very old and they need to be refreshed. But this school was around for 10 years. So this is a major, major mistake. It should have been caught. It should have been refreshed. And frankly, I hope, and I feel terrible for the people who provided that information, but we need to learn from this and make sure we're using AI and all the tools to prevent this from happening again. But I have to agree with the administration that while this is a huge, horrible tragedy, the United States military and the intelligence community does try very, very hard.
That's just propaganda. Like, what? How do you know? How the fuck do you know what they did in this strike? How the fuck do you know? You're just saying this. What's the evidence? There's been no investigation. What the fuck are you talking about? This is just spy shit. You're just doing propaganda for the empire. Where's the evidence? You're making conclusions. This is supposed to be journalism. Conclusions are supposed to have sources.
Prevent it, but mistakes happen and lives are lost.
Okay, first of all, how do you know it's a mistake? You may want to believe it's a mistake, but what's your evidence that it's a mistake? If we had a full investigation and we had a play-by-play and a trial of the officers responsible, and they were able to present their defense and they showed their vetting process and how they arrived at the target list and all that other shit, that would be one thing. But you don't have that. You're just making it up. Maybe they were negligent. Maybe they relied on years-old data. Maybe the AI, they just asked AI and approved it without investigating. How the fuck do you know? You're just saying shit, which is outrageous.
Andrew, as you look at this, I mean, they've said that it's under investigation. I mean, there are questions of how long that takes to play out. Obviously, it's one thing for them to come out and acknowledge responsibility, but CNN investigations, the New York Times, Reuters, many other outlets have done preliminary findings themselves that can show geolocated images that point to U.S. responsibility.
The evidence is overwhelming. I mean, even at this early stage in the investigation. We can only hope that the investigation will continue to a reasonable and fact-based conclusion and that it will be shared transparently with the country and the world.
Yeah. Andrew McKay, Beth Sander, great to have both of your expertise here.
That devastating bombing of a girls' school in southern Iran. According to an ongoing military investigation, the U.S. was responsible and outdated information could be to blame. You're a member of the Intelligence Committee. You're briefed on all of this. What information are you receiving, first of all, about this?
Well, I have very deep concern.
Holy fuck. Kyle Kalinske just posted a meme that is crazy, bro. Come on, man. You can't be doing that shit. Bro. He called Erica Kirk the C word. Bro. Come on, man. Not the rich C word, the other C word. The C word you use against women. Bro. That was yesterday? Oh, it was yesterday. I didn't see it. It just popped up on my feed. Sorry. Obviously, no man should say that, but I mean, bro, come on. You can't call women the C word. What are you doing, dude? Like, come on. Come on. And discourse. I don't like her either, but like, come on, man. It's like, can you imagine if he called a black man the N-word? Like, if he called Clarence Thomas the N-word? Like, come on, man. You can hate him. You can hate Clarence Thomas all you want, but it's not okay, dude. People being like, not the same. Okay, let's not use the N-word because the N-word is the most extreme slur, and it is a death threat. It is a death threat. Like, the N-word is a death threat. So I consider using the N-word to be insane. It would be like calling an Asian person the G word. Like, if you like, you know what I mean? It's not chill, dude. It is a misogynistic slur in America anyway. This isn't Australia. This isn't the UK. It is a slur for women in the US. I don't think it's a slur. LOL. Misogyny is crazy, dude. Misogyny is crazy. I didn't say they're the same. I gave an analogy. At the most, it's the R word. Nah, that's crazy. It is absolutely a slur against women. Like, come on. I always forget how much more misogyny is tolerated than other types of hate. Chad is trying to power scale the slurs. Yeah. Bro, she's not even a woman. She's a demon from hell. Oh no, he did a mean word. We don't call Lindsey Graham the F slur, but there is a lot of tactical homophobia going on there within our sphere, just saying. I feel like making fun of closeted conservatives who also oppress queer people is different than just blatantly calling a woman a C word. I don't think, you know, I think it's fucking crazy, bro. Why rank slurs? I'm not ranking slurs. The chatters are ranking slurs. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying don't use that. I mean, you could just tell. I'm sorry, but like, maybe there's a lot of non-Americans here, or maybe there's a lot of people that are just definitely, you're in like woke 8, not woke 2.0, where it's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, that's crazy. You're old. It's the problem. Nobody uses it like that anymore. I'm stupid. Am I doing a bit? No, I'm seeing a lot of Gen Zers who don't understand calling women the C word is extremely misogynistic, and it's a crazy thing to do. And Kyle is like my age, so that's crazy. It's like calling a guy a bastard or a dick or something. No, it's not.
About how this site was targeted.
It's not a big deal.
Obviously, it was next to naval operations, but even in New York Times reporting this morning, they were able to see the site clearly in publicly available data that shows this was clearly a school. So I have very serious questions that I asked in the Armed Services Committee hearing this morning of our top generals, asking specifically, how was this location targeted? What tools were used? Was AI used? What is the oversight responsibility of commanders to make sure these sites aren't targeted? I want to know what Secretary Hegseth knew about this targeting. He has undermined the resources that we put aside in the armed services to ensure that civilians are not targeted in any military operations, and he has degraded that those sets of personnel and resources. I don't think we've had the oversight and accountability that we are entitled to. We have yet to have an open hearing on the Iran war in the Armed Services Committee.
Our culture is so misogynist that women don't have it. It's all comparable to bastard or dick. It's all over the top. I mean, it's just, you know, I don't know if it's a generational thing or what, you know, or if it's like a foreign versus American thing. But I don't think I would ever call a woman a C word. I think that's like not even in my like usage. I might call someone a bitch for sure, but a C word, no, definitely not. So maybe it's just I'm old, because I would never, because to me that's like very offensive. It's a very offensive word to me toward women. Like, I know the C word is used in other countries, other English speaking countries. Maybe I just read too much Catherine McKinnon, you know. Let me just say this. I think it's batshit crazy for a political commentator to call another person the C word. I think that's batshit crazy. I think it's shameless. Now, I'm not here, you know, maybe I'm not here to police the entire, you know, all Australians or something. But god damn, that's crazy. We should cancel Kyle. Hell yeah. The problem is that a lot of you think you're hard because you talk shit online, while IRL you don't have that same energy. You should bring that outside. You'll learn valuable. I mean, I personally think that's fucking crazy, dude. I think if someone used the C word against a woman I cared about in my presence, that immediately is like fighting words, right? You can knock their block off, right? In Australia, it doesn't even have any correlation with women. Yeah, I know it's not auto-modded, which is crazy as well. No auto-mod cracker, but not the C word. That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. So I guess it's what I'm literally not trying to be woke. I'm just saying that where I come from, we never use that word. I don't think I can't remember the last time I heard someone call a woman that. I think that on that one, I give it a thumbs down for me. I give that a thumbs down for me. I definitely don't do that near me or I will be mad. That's all I'll say. He was speaking Australian. That's crazy. I'm honest to God curious. Like, I'm not even mad at you. Like, I'm not even mad at the chat. I'm not trying to like argue with the chat in a way where I'm mad, but I think it's nuts. I think it's fucking nuts to call Erica Trump the C word in a post. Or not Erica Trump, sorry. Erica Kirk. I think that's nuts. She's not even like yes, she works for, yes, she's a conservative. Yes, she sucks. Yes, she's cringe. But like, she isn't like what? Like, she's a charlatan. But like, crazy, dude. That's crazy. I wouldn't, but because it was directed at, makes me not care. It's sort of like saying Uncle Tom about someone, right? Like, even though there are plenty of people that are sellouts, I don't think white people should be calling anyone an Uncle Tom. That's a racially charged comment. That's nuts. Similarly, I don't think men should be calling women the C word. It's just not to be dark, not to be woke 1.0 or anything. I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, that's crazy. I don't think that's acceptable. This is the post. Yeah, I mean, everybody says it's not a big deal. But I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, crazy, dude. That's crazy, dude. I don't know, man. That's not for me. That's not for me. I don't particularly like that. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Mike is the woke of the day. Yeah, I guess so. The USS Gerald Ford suffers a fire. 2 sailors injured. Our most advanced aircraft carrier, chat, had a laundry fire. There was no damage to the propulsion plant, and the carrier remains fully operational. Sailors are currently receiving medical treatment. Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. Don't do that shit. Kyle's wrong. You are gonna alienate people over that. Like, don't do that shit. That's not the way to do it. That's not funny enough to do. It's not cool. You're gonna alienate people. If somebody like me is like, what the fuck? And I am not a rad lib. I let people get away with shit. I wouldn't do that. I think that's fucking cringe, man. Like, if you're gonna make fun of Erica Kirk, there's a lot of easier things to do than just throwing out a slur. That's lazy shit, man. You're 100% right about this. Some people just want to justify using slurs because they've never been on the receiving end. I mean, I gotta tell you, I don't like it. I gotta tell you, I'm not a fan of that. It's just kind of a misogynistic use of it, and it's just kind of gross. It gives me the ick, yeah. I tried several leftist streamers here and was alienated within minutes. You are the exception, and I appreciate that. Well, thank you, brother. Do you agree that trans women get a pass to use the F slur? I think in queer spaces, if they want to reclaim slurs, that's totally up to them. It's not my business. And I think being trans is in the queer bucket, right? That being said, that's not what happened here. That's kind of irrelevant to what we're talking about. I don't want to have a slurs conversation because I think they're boring as fuck. But in general, I'm just like, I'm surprised that as many of the chatters are pushing back on me on this, to be honest with you. I think it's because I don't like misogyny. It's part of the reason why I am reflecting on the way that I went so hard on Kat and whether or not there was some misogyny in that. The fact that I was going so hard on her while giving Graham Plattner a pass over one disagreement, you know, that seems a little bit off to me. It seems like I should have went that hard. Like, that's crazy. I think she's better than Biss. She's better than Biss. Of the 3 candidates that are likely to win, Kat is the best one. Even though her Taiwan take is absolutely insane and totally batshit terrible, she is the best candidate of the 3 that are likely to win. I like Bushra, but she's too far behind. I mean, that's really the reality. And I think I got a little bit frustrated yelling at all the NATO twinks on Twitter, and I went unhinged. That's really what happened. All the NATO twinks were retweeting her shit and going based, and I got fucking pissed. You guys, the NATO has twinks? Okay, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. You don't use Twitter, thank God. There's a bunch of European shit posters who are collectively called the pro-NATO twinks, and they're all terrible neoliberal scum. And they were all like, yeah, based, cat, cat loves NATO, blah, 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 blah. And those people pissed me off. After the C-slur convo, NATO twinks is a bit of a hard left. I mean, it's true, it is.
So I have a great deal of questions, and I think Secretary Hegseth should resign.
I'm a woman telling you not to use the damn slur. Just don't use the damn slur. It's a slur against women. You don't get a free pass to use slurs against me, jackass. I agree completely. If I see anybody using slurs against anyone in the chat, you're going to get banned. Don't do that. What the fuck? I'm literally telling you, I personally am uncomfortable with it and I don't like it. So don't do it around me. Some idiot and the other day was saying Mike has a history of misogyny. Huh? I've never been even... There's never been even a hint of misogyny from me. I consider misogyny to be a major scourge. I actually think it's the hate that we need to push back against the most, because it is the most tolerated one. I actually hate it. And that's part of why I'm checking myself on Kat, because maybe I did that. Anyway, let's keep going.
Because of this failure in being more precise, this operation was on the first day of operations. All sites were selected, pre-targeted by our military with arguably great care and great precision. And so how they missed that this was a girls' school is very concerning to me. If Secretary Hegseth did not cut the funding for this area of review by 90%, if Secretary Hegseth did not continually try to undermine the rules and the procedures that our service members and
guys, they didn't follow the bombing procedures
our generals take, I think he should resign because of this failure.
Fuck me, man. Melissa Bean is attempting a White House comeback in Illinois' 8th district. She's a former banker and Wall Street's favorite Democrat while in Congress. Now in a bluer district, she's being deceptive about her past. This is probably the most important race in the entire state of Illinois. And this is somebody that we should be focusing on. And I want to, I said my piece about Kat, which you could now quote me on, which is I have serious disagreements with her, especially about foreign policy. But I think defeating AIPAC is the #1 priority. And of all the candidates, she's clearly the best that has a chance to win. And I got a little bit unhinged while going after her dumb Taiwan take. But I appreciate people pushing back and telling me to be realistic, because honestly, I needed that. That's my general take on Kat. And also, I don't think you should be like going after people viciously over disagreements on one campaign. Guys, we have been working with people for literally a decade. Us having slightly different takes about a candidate or two is not a reason to be like going nuclear. Be normal. And I think defeating AIPAC is the most important thing. And of all the people running who have a chance to win, I think Kat is the person that we would have the most influence over. Let's just be realistic about this shit, where we're like, you know what? Her take on Taiwan is insane and it's dangerous. I want you to know I'm not backing down. I want her to change that position, and I'm going to continue pressuring her. But as I said yesterday, if she wins, the very next day I'll be in her corner. I'll be hyping her up, and I'll be saying how great it is, and I'll be putting pressure on her to change her dumb Taiwan take. But I don't want to be the person. I don't want her to lose. I don't want her to lose to a fucking Zionist. That would be insane. And I need to make sure that we remain humble and we remain sane. And also, if you go into Hassan's chat and said, I said X, Y, and Z thing to try to bolster your point with him, don't do that. Make your own argument. Don't try to use me as some sort of fucking shield. Make your own fucking argument and stand up for it. I'm watching this. I watch this on stream all the time. If I agree with you, I'll make the argument, but I'm not going to use you to hide behind. Don't hide behind me. Don't try to stir up drama between me and Hassan or me and other streamers. That's insane. Don't do that. Ban this guy for being a homophobe. Oh, that's not good. We don't like that. All right. What other issue did I want to talk about today? Am I going to issue a statement? Yeah, I'll probably tweet something. I'm probably going to tweet something. I'm still thinking about it. There are so many Epstein types who come from one community to the other to stir shit. No, there's also people who just don't like me for a variety of reasons. They don't like that I am so pro-China. They don't like that I'm so anti-NATO. They don't like that I am anti-Vosh. They don't like that I am anti-Radlib. You know, like they don't like that I'm pro-Graham Plattner. It is what it is. You know, people disagree with me and then they make it personal. And I don't suffer fools gladly. I'm also an angry, loud white man. Like, and I don't have pretty privilege to hide behind. What's going on with China and Cuba? They are strengthening ties. China is importing a lot of solar panels to Cuba from China. This just happened. Chinese solar energy for Cuba. How the island is sidestepping Trump's oil embargo. So that's something that's being worked on right now. Why am I what? Anti-Vosh. Vosh is somebody who supports American imperialism. He's not very intelligent about politics in general. He has been exposed for masturbating to a simulated child pornography. He was a very much up Destiny's ass. And I don't think he's very intelligent, and I think he's kind of bad faith. So I'll add all those together, and you have why I don't like him. Okay, I gotta say it. Usually it's not chatters from here that say Mike said that. Usually it's anti-Mike Hassan chatters that are quickly say Mike was saying that. He's unhinged, sort of. So yeah, most of the time it's not chatters hiding behind you. Oh, okay. I mean, I don't think my haters watch my stream. Honestly, most of my haters have never watched my streams. Like not even one time. Like I legitimately. Do I still promote Jackaman? Yeah, you should sign up for Jackaman. We're not sponsored by them anymore, but you should support them. Bosch also committed rape threats and months-long sexual harassment of a fan. And that was so bad he was kicked out of Destiny's Discord for it. Yeah, I know about that. Yeah, that's really bad. They have clipped me in the past. Like one clip out of context from like 3 years ago, maybe. I don't know if it was your chatters or records, but my biggest disappointment was the way we came off, allowed Hassan and other viewers to bucket us off as crazy Mike viewers. Yeah, true. Yeah, of course. We don't want to alienate ourselves from Hassan. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. I have 1,900 hours in the stream last year, and I didn't recognize any of the chatters chirping at Hassan yesterday. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, it is what it is. You know, I think Hassan legitimately thinks I'm wrong. And I honestly, and I understand I understand his argument. I mean, it is what it is. All right, chat. I have something that I wanted to show you. It's a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of a secret trailer for a new project that I'm working on with Yagopnik and Freda, a history YouTuber. Hold on, let me I'm not gonna let you guys get any, you don't get to see this. This is for the true guys who are still with me.
Kept their alliance with Marxism, and the problem with that is that if you're a human being, you have to act in the world, because otherwise you suffer miserably and then you die.
Whenever I'm watching like a new trailer on my stream and there's, oh my god, there's a fucking black person. Oh my god, there's a woman.
It's your body, my choice.
Fucking pronouns! Fucking gender ambiguity!
I want these people to suffer because that's what they did to me. Get rid of them.
The will of man's heart is towards evil from his youth.
Gamer drives up, what goes around, yep, what goes around comes around. And we're coming. Non-incel attitude, well, I guess I'm an incel. And I think everybody else should be.
All of us today would be in a worse spot if slavery never existed at all across the globe. There were undoubtedly many nice slaveholders in the South.
All right, chat. We are doing a new podcast now. It's been a little bit delayed from original projections, but this month, the Yogopnik, Mike from PA, and Freda Reaction Podcast. And this is something that I've wanted to do for a while. We're going to go through and talk about all of the big right-wingers. And we're going to talk about their histories, who they are. We're going to do nice deep dives. We're going to have interviews with some of their biggest enemies. And we're going to have a place where people can learn intricacies of who these motherfuckers are that are destroying the internet and give them the attention that they love to pile onto the rest of the internet. And so I am excited. We're getting a lot of your favorite content creators are going to be on board. And so I hope you enjoy it. We'll be giving you more information soon. This is the Reaction Podcast. Eamon Animations made the trailer. I mean, who else could make this?
Fucking gender ambiguity! I want these people to suffer because that's what they did to me. Get rid of them. The will of man's heart is towards evil.
So there you go, chat. There you go. Later this month, I will be giving you even more information. So just get hyped. Make sure you use fucking pronouns in the podcast. Honestly, every right winger, I can't wait. I can't fucking wait. Mike, this is the worst thing you could ever do as a man, be a white male podcaster. I'm embracing it, chat. I'm embracing it. All right, well, it is noon. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm sending you guys over to Vio. Is this just making fun of hogs? It's not just making fun of hogs. It's really talking about hogs at a more of a middle brow or highbrow level. We're like learning about who the hogs are. We're talking about their ideology. We're talking about their impact on society. And we're kind of doing a who the fuck are the worst pieces of shit on the internet that have made it suck. So thank you, everybody. Stay safe. Solidarity forever. And socialism will win. And I hope we had a good conversation about pragmatism, about being self-aware, about taking conversations with people that you trust and you have been working with for years and taking their criticism seriously. You know, like Hassan took my criticisms when I criticized him for, hyping up people like Gretchen Whitmer. I'm going to take his criticism when he says, Mike, we have to be fighting against AIPAC and keep our eye on the ball. So don't allow your own ego and your own hubris to harm you with the people that you consider to be your closest comrades. All right, everybody, keep that in mind. Free Palestine. I'll see you soon. Peace.